Welcome, everyone, to another Knocked Conscious. I have Kristan T. Harris of the Rundown Live right over there. I think you can see him right there. Kristan, welcome to Knocked Conscious, my friend. Oh, I think you're muted, man. Did you make the rookie mistake? Oh, he made the rookie mistake.
I don't know. That's weird.
Oh, that's bad, man.
Mistake number one. It's amateur night here.
Hey,
Knock
welcome, man.
on-
Friday night amateur night. We started drinking early, man.
Oh, I wish I could use a frosty beverage. I've been doing pretty
Yeah,
good. Yeah, I've been kind of abstinent. I wanted to purify my body, and I've been on this weight
nice.
loss journey, trying to be less fat these days. I'm at that age where you look at food and you absorb the calories. You don't have to even bite
Yes.
into it. You're just like, I see you, food, and I can feel myself getting fatter. So, a
Yeah.
lot of working out, and I probably cut off about 10 pounds in the last month, just
Nice.
doing normal shit and eating healthier, whole foods, not eating out and working out a little bit. There's a little bit of that, and trying to figure out what I want to do this year, where I want to travel to, what I want to cover. My career has been, I don't know what's been going on the last like 2 weeks, but it's the busiest I have ever been as a podcaster dash radio figure. Normally my life is busy because of breaking news or covering some protest or court case or some other BS, and or me just recording somebody doing something dumb at like the DNC, or saying something idiotic, and that will go viral, right? 18 million views, whatever. But I'm like getting all these requests to be on all these shows, and I'm not saying no to anyone. So I told myself I'm going to go on every show possible right now, and it's just been crazy. I was just on Raised by Giants with Ryder Lee, and he does those reels. Everything is reels now. It's like you don't really have a podcast. You have something to surgically cut and make reels, right? Because at the end
Right.
of
You
the
have
day,
content. You have
right.
content to dissect and put out in 30-second blurbs. Yeah.
And that's what it's all about. So you grow your audience by putting out reels these days, and the tickety talk that the little kids and the thing is, it's weird because you got to speak the youth's language, right? Which is still music. Music is still their
Hey,
language. But the new social media networks, man, learning how to reach people and really engage. And Ryder Lee does such a great job of it. And I've been like, I think last I looked, one of the reels was over 100,000, which, that's what people do. They sit there and doom scroll, right? That's the new cool
yeah,
thing. So I can talk for hours about just about anything, but it's really
love it.
cool to be joining you and really diving into stuff. And I don't really do a whole lot of shows where I get to just talk as myself. I'm always having a topic to cover, or I'm covering Epstein or giant human skeletons, or I just found out that I'm going to be on Coast to Coast AM, which I know I was talking to you about. Today I just
Yeah.
got off of doing Strange Planet, which with Richard Searett, and he fills in on Coast to Coast AM. And he said, I've actually applied to have you on as a guest, so let me know. I'll let you know if it gets approved, and if it gets approved, you'll be on. And I'm like, I don't know. I'm pretty crazy for Coast to Coast AM. I don't know what subject, maybe secret societies, maybe giants. I don't know. I'm interested though. So I'm excited to just talk about whatever we can get into today.
Well, I found you very interesting because it's actually, we've crossed paths multiple times without really realizing it. I listened to your Joby Weeks conversation you just put out. I think you did that yesterday, right?
Yeah, I had him on the show. I was reached out by an interesting individual, and one of the people behind the scenes that a lot of people don't know that makes things happen. His name is Zach Carter. And Zach Carter used to be the manager for the Misfits, Michael Graves. And
I know the Misfits, yeah.
yeah, so Zach Carter reached out to me, and it was cool when the Misfits came to Milwaukee. They invited me out, and I got to go hang out with Michael Graves, smoke a little pot, backstage with them. It was cool,
Very
man. And they
cool.
asked me to take some photos. I took some pro photos for them, and it was all because of Zach Carter, who's a really cool guy and somebody that doesn't get any attention. He doesn't want attention, but he does what he does really well, which is networking. He's like one of those media callers that calls all the news stations and lets them know about events, trying to get attention. And he works in media, and he's actually just a genuinely good guy. I love the guy to death. And he called me up and he's like, listen, there's this guy, Joby Weeks. He's a cryptocurrency guy. And I want you to watch this documentary because he feels like he's being wrongfully put through the system, and he's been on house arrest for 6 years. And so I looked into Joby, and there was some stuff about him being arrested for fraud. Then I found out that it was him who reported the website being hacked and all this other stuff that was really interesting, and that his website, that the website he was working and promoting was hacked, and then the cops actually made the investigation about him. And so they said that there was some kind of fraud going on, and they put him in jail, and then they basically swindle him into doing some kind of admittance to go out and see his kids. They're like, "Oh, you just had a baby. Don't you want to see your kid? Don't you?" They torturing him, psychological warfare. And they're like, "Well, you can redact this and go ahead and then enter a plea for not guilty again, right?" So now he's in this like crazy 6 years. He's been crazily on 6 years of house arrest. They've went through 13 different prosecutions. Prosecutors keep quitting, and 3 different judges. And I don't really know what to make of it because I don't know all the facts. I know he seems like a genuinely decent person. He's interesting. And I know he is an old Ron Pauler, and there's a lot of the same people I know trust him, like Michael Morosco and all the OG 2008, 2011 Ron Paulers. But then I have these other group of friends that are getting a hold of me. They're like, "Bro, Joby Weeks, man, I don't know. That's a pretty interesting interview. I don't know about that." And so then they started looking.
Where are you getting what? Okay, so I can totally get that. So this is what's really interesting to me is obviously we delve in this. It kind of crosses political things, left, right, center, libertarian,
cryptocurrency, stock market, all that stuff.
Right. So you've got the Ron Paul guys who are like, "Hey, I kind of vetted this guy because first of all, fuck all that shit. Your laws mean nothing as long as I don't hurt anybody or steal their stuff. We're good to go." Then you've got this other group. What's this group that's saying, "I don't know about that"? Are they conservative minded? Are they Democrat? Like, how would you I hate to say label, but what's their kind of personal?
Well, the viewpoint there is that he doesn't belong in jail, but he was kind of swindling people.
Okay. So he was taking their stuff. Okay.
That is not. Yeah. But the thing is, when I asked for evidence, they said, "Well, the article was deleted. This is the article." And the article is more of like somebody's personal blog and grieving. So, I used to run a business. I'm sure I had bad reviews. I'm sure there's people that didn't trust me in the music industry when I booked shows, that they thought they got swindled because they didn't get paid much because nobody showed up or whatever. People have opinions. So I've always been a person. I'm a master networker, right? I go in, I can be friends with anyone. I can communicate with anyone. I can sit down with a billionaire and make friends, and he'll be like, "Yeah, let's go get a drink," right? I can sit with somebody who is homeless and listen to them talk about philosophy and be like, "Why the hell are you homeless, bro? You are smart as hell." "Well, I want to be out of the system, so I live out of a tent. Yeah, I make money, but I don't got rent, and I can save up money to buy a house." Just all these different thought process, the way intellectuals think. A lot of people say intellectuals are messy. So like, it's interesting. And
dude, it's messy.
I like to learn people. I like to learn people, right? So I get along with everyone, and I want to give everyone the benefit of the doubt. Although I do know people make mistakes, but do I believe in repentance and change? Because I have to as a person, because I have made mistakes. Does that make me a bad person if I've changed my life and been a better person, right? If I've made those changes. And back in the day, before the term, when people were what they called the follower of the way, that was what they called Christianity before the way. It was the way, the truth, the life. That's what it means in the Mandalorian. This is the way. It's the teachings of Christ. That's the esoteric hidden meaning behind that. They had a saying called "bigger the sinner, bigger the saint," because if you were a shitty person, you lied, and you were maybe a cheater or a tax collector, whatever it was, you could have been a bad person. You can be a testament of changed life and do good in this world. And I have to believe that, right? So like, I don't really know Joby personally, right? I know people who think very highly of him. And then I've never had anyone say, "Oh, no, that guy's a creep." But he's like, "I heard this." The gossip wheel, right? People have gossip. They want to talk. I don't know. I have to go with facts. I got to question everything. I got to listen to everyone. And, I got to prove it with my own 2 hands. So from what I've seen and from the people I know, they're good people that are supporting him and this ideology. But then on the other side, there's good people who are anarchists, right? These are a lot of anarchists, right? That are coming and they're like, "Well, I don't think he belongs in jail, but he kind of was taking advantage of people or something." And So when I asked for
Mm.
evidence, no one could really find any real details other than some guy airing some shit on a blog, and that make good for campfire stories, and girls find gossip to be a good form of currency these days. It's not my thing, right? Like I
Yeah.
want to. I'm genuine and
Mhm.
honest. I'm blunt. I tell you what I mean. I mean what I say, and I do what I say I'm going to do. Usually, most of the time, I've made those mistakes. I've been the unreliable person. I choose not to be that person anymore.
We
I've
all have
grown out
those
of that.
moments.
Yeah,
For sure.
right, right.
Yeah. So, well, this is what's interesting. This is what connects everything. My first Freedom Fest was in 2024. And in your conversation with Joby, obviously Ross Ulbricht came up. And then you've got Lynn Ulbricht, obviously Ross's mom. Then you've got Martha Bueno, who's doing all these fights for these people being put in federal prisons. And obviously, I don't know if you saw the speech about the federal prison system from Ross, but it's brutal. But you were at Freedom Fest 2024. Were you doing the free and fair with Christina Tobin? Were you up on the
Yeah,
panel
I
with
was actually
Nasty?
working. I was helping put together the independent presidential debate. So I've donated my time for the last probably 15 years, roughly, to a cause called Free and Equal Elections Foundation. It's had its ups and downs, but I stay devoted to the idea that we can have more than two choices. Even though I know that lobbyism is an issue, and it's still going to be an issue, because look at what happened when we had a libertarian candidate that was getting 5% of the vote. We had a council on foreign relations banker scum in there, right? It was the same problem all over again. It was just like, oh, we just got to spread the money around differently. We just got 4 parties to control now, or 3 parties to control now instead of 2. But I do believe that there's something to be said about getting independent candidates on local running races, on your local community races, getting independents in there. Anyone that's outside of the two-party, system, that's where they want to put you in one of those 2 rooms. You don't got a third room. You got those 2 rooms. They want you to pick one, and they're like, oh, never mind that there's a speakeasy with a secret code back here, and there's a whole nother room of ideas that are different than what we have. So yeah, I've donated and dedicated a lot of time as a network producer. I worked with media. I've gotten to work with amazing people because of Christina Tobin. I got introduced to Ron Paul because of Christina Tobin. And Christina Tobin has always been a very loyal friend. We may not see eye to eye on everything like any other person, but I stand firm in the cause that we need to do something about our electoral process. We need to get ranked choice. We need to get blockchain in there. We need to get rid of assemblymen and senators and just vote all via blockchain from a phone, so we can actually have a genuine democratic republic that isn't like half the time in stuff we believe in and half the time not. We can get something that we all agree on as citizens, and then we can get rid of a lot of the bureaucracy and the lifelong politicians. Just an idea. So all of that is part of the free and equal ideas. Not all of it is some of those are my ideas, but I think Christina Tobin, who hosted the first ever third-party presidential debates that were televised and seen by more than 20 million people in
That
2012, was very important and influential. And I think that's something impressive that we've done.
right. And the one in Freedom Fest was Stein, Chase, Oliver, and crazy hair guy, constitutionalist. What's his name? Gosh dang it.
He
Starts
wrote
with a
that book.
C.
Yeah, what was
Yeah,
it?
it wrote starts with a C, and he's a rock star. He plays music. He plays guitar.
Yeah, and he was
You
an
know him real
actor
well.
too, wasn't he, or something
Yeah,
like
yeah,
that?
yeah. He's a unique guy. Yeah. Well, that was a really interesting. So you were there actually. So
Yeah,
I it,
I was helping out,
okay.
and I was doing media and interviews for Christina Tobin, and I was also doing interviews for the Rundown Live,
Mm,
because at that time, as you know, Kenosha just popped off, and I was on the front
yeah.
page of every newspaper across America for my footage of catching a cop getting knocked out by a brick, and being maybe the first reporter that interviewed Kyle Rittenhouse, amongst other things, the following couple days. That was Tuesday. The event started Monday, but like I was there getting tear gassed. I've had cartridges hit my chest. So at that point, people wanted to talk to me a little bit about Kenosha. But what's funny is I'm kind of like the Zach Carter of Kenosha. No one really wants to talk about why everyone went to Kenosha, and that's because they saw my video of a cop getting knocked out. But everyone also, like, you'll hear a lot of these other reporters out there say, oh, I was the first reporter there. I saw a person get knocked out by a brick. Oh, who were they watching when they saw somebody get knocked out by a brick? Well, it was my video, it was me being in a volatile protest where they're destroying cop cars and throwing bricks at cops. And it was just a wild situation. Anyways, I regress. Yes, I was at Freedom Fest. It was a
No,
great
man,
experience.
this is your show, man. This is the beauty about it. It's like it is so cool to literally like do the Mr. Rogers, right? And like right now, you were in work mode, right? You just got like you when you're doing rundown, when you're doing your podcast, you're in this focus of like, we got this time set, we got these themes, we got these subjects to cover. You're coming home, you're taking off the jacket, you're putting on the cardigan, you're putting on the slippers, man. That's what this conversation is. So
Well, I
opine
mean,
away, man. There's, share what you want. That's the beauty of it. I'm grateful for your time.
well, right. And I just wanted to express what my life was like. And it was a very chaotic world
Yeah.
because when that video went viral, I had no idea it went viral. I was, on my way home, my cell phone died because that's what I was using to film. I had a Cop Block shirt on. I used to be a journalist for Cop Block, film the police per se. Badges don't grant extra rights. As you guys know, Ademo Freeman ended up spending some time for having marijuana, and that was the end of Cop Block. It disappeared, and he sold the website, and a lot of the original members, Kristen, Megan Kelly, Tony Bones. It used to be mostly females in Cop Block, which is they
Tony
were gonna.
Bones, interesting. We just connected Tony Bones with Spike Cohen.
Oh,
If
okay.
you know Spike. Yeah, literally, Spike was on a special spaces with Mad Dog and Grumpy. No, these are libertarian weirdos. They're all autist retards, to be honest, but I love them. They're my retards, because that's what I am. But no, on the spaces, Tony Bones was literally on there. So it's weird how these things are like overlapping and connecting as we're talking, and we've never spoken before. And there's this interesting overlap. It's kind of cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Tony Bones, we had her on because she was being forced. She made the news. She was being forced to get rid of tires she had in her car. She had a vehicle, like a pickup truck in her on her property that she had tires in because she wanted to make tire plants, put plants or use them as planters.
Right.
And the
Right.
local
Like
city,
Planner. Yeah.
the local city was forcing her to get rid of all the tires, and she just wanted to make a garden in her front yard, right? Because that's what Tony Bones does. Anarchist there. And she wants to grow her own freaking garden.
Homeschooled her
The city
kids.
wants to give her a hard time. So we had her
Right.
on the Rundown Live. And she, it was a great conversation. That was probably like 15 years ago. And I kind of went in there and I started covering protests when Tim Pool kind of got out of the whole scene, which was
Occupy.
probably
Yeah.
which was
Occupy thing, or yeah.
I think the last thing he did was Milwaukee that I remember.
Okay.
And that's how I got involved. So Sherman Park happened in Milwaukee and they burned down a gas station. Tim Pool came into town and he went, who was it? There was another guy that was really prominent and he used to make these really bizarre like conspiracy videos and he'd be like, look at that. And he'd be zooming in the Google Earth. And I forgot his name, but he's really prominent for a while. And he had a huge YouTube channel. It's probably deleted with the rest of us. But anyways, Tim Pool was in Milwaukee and they shot somebody while he was out there. And he said, he's like, I'm pulling out. This is too dangerous. And, he was, he was worried and for his life and probably rightfully so. He's in a foreign area.
Why wouldn't you be? I mean, it's like there's a risk reward here. It's like, what are you
So-
willing to do? How much truth are you willing to seek? It really is when you get tested.
So I thought, well, what would be more brave or stupid than to go down there myself and film?
Perfect.
So I'm like, Tim Pool pulled out, I'll go in. And there was a little meme like that. And I think to this day, that's why Tim Pool might not talk to me. I don't know. I didn't make the meme. It was just like, maybe I made a post or something. I don't remember. I did something arrogant. I was just like, I'm going to go in. This is my community. I'm going to go to Sheridan Park. Fine. If these guys are going to be too much of a pussy to go out there, too scared, I'll go out there. And I went out there and I filmed shit. And it was crazy because I bumped into Joe Biggs from InfoWars and he did an interview with me.
What do you mean? God damn it. Alex Jones here. I'm hanging out with Kristan T. Jones. We're having a great time. What's going on there, Kristan? How you doing over there?
What's weird is it got
That's
about
the only one I can do. It's the only I can do a few.
The video got about 150,000 views in a matter of hours, the interview, and they pulled it down. I don't know why, but I think it,
gee, I wonder why.
a lot of views at a short time. Well, it was advertising the Rundown Live, which at that time, Alex Jones aggregated a lot of my work. He wasn't the only one. Natural News, and a lot of people, even I was blogging for mainstream media at the time at City Now. When I first started off and I was going viral then. In fact, I became one of the top traffic bloggers in the United States before a lot of the censorship. And it was really interesting because there was, I don't know if it was intentional, maybe it was just a news cycle, but there's like people would joke with me. They're like, "Oh, he doesn't want to give you too much attention," the rundown live, and that's not really how I ever pictured Jones. Jones has always treated me with his staff and him have never taken anything out of context. They've given me a chance to talk in a program. They've never been rude. I know a little bit about the culture there, but that's none of my business. I think that he does a great thing of bringing awareness on a lot of subjects. So I get a lot of flack from hosting and sometimes being on his program on Infowars, but I have no problem with that. I do good work, and if people think there's a problem with Alex Jones, well, then I have an opportunity to correct whatever it is by bringing good work. And if you like what I do and I'm on there, then you should be happy I'm on there. So it's one of those things. Anyways, long story short, Kenosha popped up. So during the whole Freedom Fest event, I had a chance to really be a part of that. And as you know, I've been part of all the debates really that Free and Equal has hosted over the years for the presidential candidates. And it's interesting being in the same room with Jill Stein or Hawking, was it Howie Hawkins? And who else was there? Whether it's Virgil Good or let's see, we had Gary Johnson, all these different guys over the years they've run. I've been sitting in the same room with them and listening to the debates. We had a debate in 2016 where we had like 32 presidential candidates. We had the Transhumanist Party candidate. We had Zoltan Istvan there. We had Johan Ben Zion. I believe he was the transhumanist presidential candidate who was really pushing for fully automated luxury communism. And if you don't know what that is, that's a real thing. Fully automated luxury communism. That's what the elitists want. If you don't know, that's their wet dream, their utopian wet dream. Robots do everything. We get a livable wage, and we become giant slobs eating burgers.
That's an Elon dream.
Right.
That's Elon dream. He said a robot in every house, right? Taking care of whatever you need and all that. Yep.
Well, yeah. And if you're Jeffrey Epstein, you're making robots that are baby toddlers. I don't know why.
And hey, look, I've got my grape soda right here, my friend. I haven't even cracked it open yet. So
I know, man.
There's this new diet. So hey, so I just want to pull this up because I want to connect these things. So 2024, that's where I recognize you. That was my first really foray into like the Freedom Fest stuff. I actually have a story from 2022 when I was at the Mirage. I was actually with my girlfriend just on a date over the weekend. We were just there, and these doors opened up, and these people poured out, and like Steve Forbes walked by, and I'm like, that's Steve Forbes. Like I start freaking out. Like all these people started walking by, and I look around. Then I look around for the placards, and it's this Freedom Fest thing. And I'm like, I look at her. I'm like, next time it's in Vegas, I'm coming. And I was just doing some random thing. It turned out 2024. Obviously, it's every other year, right? So thank God I missed Memphis from what I heard. But I started 24, did Palm Springs last year, and then obviously this year. Are you coming this year? Then?
Well, I came mostly as support for media, so I was working. So as you know,
right, I was working too, but it's like work. There's like a work.
It's part passion, part job, and if it's work, I'll be there. If I have the choice to be at Freedom Fest, it's not something that I'd be at unless I was asked to speak at or be involved somehow. Right.
I feel like you'd be working just with all the brilliant minds that are there.
Well,
it's crazy who they collect.
Yeah, it's interesting. And, I ran into Spike Cohen there, and there's a bunch of everyone's just walking around having a good time. Remember, they gave us those gold dollar bills, the gold back certificates.
Yeah, the gold backs, right.
And you could either keep it or buy a beer, man. You imagine if you kept that
I still have mine.
Yeah, there you go. Me too. It's like a $15 gold back now, or I don't know what it really is. It's probably like $5. It's like $6 or $7.
Double. It's double what the value of gold is. So if it's 5,000, it would be like $10. It's probably worth $10 right now.
Yeah, it's probably $10. I have the $5 denomination, and I think I gave the $10.
Oh, that one's worth 5 times that. So that one would be worth 50 or $60 or something.
And then I had the $10 one. I think I gave that to my girlfriend that I was dating at the time. Her name was Alyssa, and she did. She's like, "Oh, I'll just put it in the safe." Like the dating pool is weak these days, my friend. If you're single, the odds are you're just a leftover. You're one of the leftovers, and the people that are.
I'm older than you, man. You have no. I'm lucky to be in a long-term relationship, but I was also single for a very long time in between and all that.
Yeah. No, I don't have a problem finding a relationship.
I don't think finding people's hard. It's like finding someone you're willing to sacrifice the connection time and all. Because your life is so full and rich, you have to fill it. You want to share it with someone. You don't want to give it all, hand it off to, there's like a sharing thing, and that's a connection. It's
Well,
beyond
right, and finding
like,
somebody that you have a lot in common with other than the physical attraction, because the older you get, the uglier you get. That's just the way life goes. I mean, we're all elegant
yeah.
at some level, but like it's the intelligence, it's the bond that you have with someone. And I think that there's a lot of people out there that have gone through some terrible experiences. And that's why they're single. Like me, for my example, it's not really a terrible experience. I was a touring musician for many years. Like I didn't really settle down. I was playing in a band, working in the music industry. I did Vans Warped Tour for several years. Was a vendor. One year as a musician. I was a journalist. I went into radio, and I bartend for 8 years. Like I just never settled down. Like I didn't have a need to. I was just busy all the time. And then before you look at it, you're like, shit, I'm approaching 40. And then you're like, and then you hit 40, and then you're like, oh man, I'm hitting 45 soon. And then it's like it's sneaking up at you, and then all of a sudden you feel a little rushed. But at the same time, like everyone, there's got to be good people out there too, but the leftovers is a real thing. The whole society of the whole swipe culture, like ordering out people like a pepperoni pizza. Oh, there's another reference. You ordering out people like pizza on Tinder. And even Jeffrey Epstein was on OkCupid. That was a post I posted from his emails. I was like, look, this guy's even trying to pick up chicks on OkCupid.
oh
Man.
my God. Okay, Cupid is the one that woman texted that thing. She tweeted, and she went on a flight to Africa. The thing about the AIDS. She goes, don't worry. Oh no, I'm not worried. I'm white. Remember the one that like texted about the AIDS thing? Do you ever hear that one?
No, no, no.
Oh, so like she was like the head, she was like the not the CEO, but like one of the C-level, suite level ladies at OkCupid or Match, which they're all kind of connected, right? She's on a flight, and you could look this up right now, like as we're talking. I know you'll find it, but it basically she tweets, heading to Africa, hope I don't get AIDS. Oh, never mind, I'm white. By the time she landed in Africa, she had lost her job. A million people had seen the tweet, and like the world had gone to shit in like the 8-hour flight or 10-hour flight that she was on. She
Oh, geez.
lands, and she lands to like Bedlam or something. It's crazy. And then they fired her, and then they rehired her like years later after like a dust settled. They actually like brought her in the back door again under OkCupid. But yeah,
Well, the metadata collection of those dating websites are crazy, because I did online dating maybe about
they
15 years ago, but I
I did
remember
too.
OkCupid was like, are you into whips and chains? Like, do you like to be insulted while making love? Do you like to be
They were
slapped in
doing
it?
psychological profiles. Think about what
Oh,
eHarmony did. They're literally asking you to, they're profiling you.
right.
You're actually
Metadata collection.
voluntarily profiling yourself, like psychologically, to an entity that can sell that information to anyone.
Well, what's crazy is they have these citizen threat scores that fusion centers and analytics and pre-crime units use, and it gives you a social credit score. And they use all that data, all that big data. They know what type of person you are, what you're into, what websites you visit, what you purchase on your credit card, what comes in and out of your bank, and then it comes out and it spews out if you're a good citizen or not, and whether or not they should no knock radio or knock on your door politely. It's scary, the metadata, but the whole dating scene, the idea of just meeting somebody and having chemistry, like at a grocery store. I remember being a bartender, and there was this beautiful biochemist I ended up go hanging out with for a little while. She was way younger than me. She's in her like mid 20s. I was in my mid 30s at the time. And she asked me like, well, we've been hanging out for a while. How do you like to meet girls, right? Because it's still a very casual relationship per se. And I said, well, I like to, like, I'm old school. I used to remember going into the wine section of a grocery store was always right next to the DVDs. You had the DVDs and then alcohol. They knew what people
Or
were
the
doing.
vegetables.
They're going home, they're renting the DVDs. And there would be times women even would ask me, oh yeah, I see you're getting wine. What are you doing? I said, I'm just renting a movie. And they're like, alone? Yeah. They're like, do you want to hang out? And I was like, hell yeah. You would meet people like doing laundry. You would talk to people. Now it's like, don't talk to me. That's kind of creepy. That's a
Wait,
little
you
weird.
mean make eye contact?
Don't
What is
make eye
wrong with
contact,
you?
especially if you're eating a
You're like,
banana. Never make
have
eye contact.
have a first thought of trust versus like deceit. Okay, cool. It's great concept. Man, it was a grind, man. I'm 50. Oh God, I'm north of 50. So, but basically that's the Gen X thing, man. You had to work. It was a numbers game because you
AOL
own
Instant
like
Messenger.
because you're right. Because like,
Right.
well, the truth is this: like, you can be anybody on the internet. So without the chemistry part, and it's true. There's pheromones. There's just a physical thing where you see them. A picture is not them. It's not the
No,
right curve and the face and the reflection of the light and the glow. And it just, they're not, it's not the same. So
look at
how
all the
many
filters,
times you
bro.
walk in, right? You walk in
Everybody
super
uses
excited.
filters.
Right. But you walk in super excited, right? And it's not even about what they look like because you're like, they look good and you just like what they've written you. But you still haven't had the interaction with the pheromone and the chemistry stuff. You get with them and you're just, they seem totally cool and you have no like anything elevated other than hanging out with them. It just happens. We've all been both sides of that, right? So like the digital stuff isn't real. It's not real until you actually meet anyway. So you might as well just meet people.
I remember when we had MySpace and we had like a top 8, and you would take somebody off your top 8, and they would get like
Oh,
emotionally
they'd
hurt.
call you.
Yeah,
They'd
and then you'd
call
be like,
you because they
bro,
didn't have text.
bro, it's just the internet. That's what we tell you. We'd be like, dude, it's just the fucking internet. Chill the fuck
Yeah.
out. Like, it's the top 8. Nobody really cares if your friends are in your top 8 or not. But obviously, everyone would make it a big deal. It was like black dotting before black dotting. Like when somebody
Mhm.
sends a message on Facebook and the green dot goes and they can see that you're online, but you're not reading their
Yes.
message. And then they get like
Yes.
anxiety and they're like, oh,
Uh,
this person is talking to somebody else. And then their mind is thinking, and then they see that they read it and they still haven't gotten back to you. And like people are
yep.
so obsessed with the communication and the response and how it works. And in all reality, people just need to get a fucking life. Like, get off the couch, stop drinking beer every day, and
come out and
Sorry. I messed that up.
no worries, no
No.
worries. But
Oh,
like,
dude,
it's just
this made me
crazy.
think of something, so I'll pull that up later. But yeah,
But no,
it is nuts.
like dating kind of sucks because, like, again, the other thing is shit tests. Females love the shit test, and they don't realize by purposely putting you through tests, you're destroying the foundation of trust in a relationship.
Congratulations, Derek, by the way. By the way, Kristan, let me
Oh,
just
hey,
tell you who Derek. Let me
that's
tell you who
awesome.
Derek is. Yeah, this guy's cool. Derek, I don't even know, Derek, how you came across our podcast. It was either If by Whiskey or Not Conscious. He's hung out to like the last 5 or 6 straight podcasts that we've done. And this is like a not normal time. Normally it's just Wednesdays. So Derek, man, thanks for joining. Congratulations, 4 years. My parents are over 60 years now going. It's crazy. And they hate each other, but that's a whole other. It's funny. It's fun. It's funny how you see that because like I know kids who come from that, and it was like we were the generation that where it just started happening. The divorce started becoming like you knew at least a friend or somebody who had a divorce. Had like a separation.
It was shunned, right? You're like, oh, it was like a
Yeah,
dirty word. It's like, they
and
got
it
a
was you
divorce.
felt bad for the kid. Like it wasn't like shunned for the kid. The kid wasn't like shunned, but it was like the parents were like, what? They're not gonna stick it out till the kid graduates. You know what I mean? It was always that, stay together at least till they graduate or something, some kind of commitment to it, I guess is what they felt like.
Well, we went from that though to when I was bartending, there would be women that bring their date into the bar because I'm kind of the safe space as a bartender. I make sure nobody messes with their drink, and I'm a lot of, I'm cool. Like they trust my opinion. I help them out with their daily lives and real issues. And then like the guy would be in the bathroom, they'd be on Tinder already looking for the next guy because there's one thing that they didn't like about this guy, and they just met the person. They're already like, yep, I know. And I guess there are some things like that. For me, there's shit tests or when women are dishonest and liars. I just can't handle it. I'm done. I just move on. And unless there's apology and there's effort to make change, I don't need that in my life. And like, but like I see a lot of like little things like, and I'm like, why are you already looking for your next date when you're out with this other person? You didn't even give him a chance. You didn't talk to him. What is it that you don't like? Well, I don't know. And I'm like, are you seriously interested in a relationship? No, you wanted the free meal and the hookup. That's what a lot of people are. They just temporary and superficial and quick gratification where they don't have to put in any effort. And if they do put in effort, it's got to be interdependent, right? Effort has to be shown on both sides. It can't be just one person worshiping somebody's feet. That nobody wants, a simp. Only weirdos and people who are narcissistic, I think, want simps. People just worship the ground they walk on everywhere they go.
Something
So
they can walk over.
yeah,
Yeah, and
right,
to
right.
that point, like we're talking about this thing, but there is a real true epidemic. These boys who aren't growing up. And I think it's partially cultural, but it's also like the way they've been shunned is like, being a young man is like toxic. So it's like, be like a girl. Well, being like a girl, you're not very assertive. You're not very forward. So it's like, sup. There's like no effort put into anything. Cause like, to be honest, porn covers every topic now. Anything you like, they have a thing for it and it's easy. So that gets played into it. You know what I mean? So like guys don't try as hard. I see women who get completely dressed up and you see the dude like schlubbing it out. And you're like, man, dude, I mean, wear a collar, something with her. You know
well,
what I mean?
she's
For
dressing
her.
nice. She's looking for another dude. That's what she's doing. She's looking for the alpha
She's just,
male. If
oh
he's
shit,
just like
my girlfriend
scrub,
dresses nice all the time. Oh no, I'm in trouble. Oh God. Thanks.
you
Thanks.
know,
Now
like
I just realized I'm in trouble.
no, but like there's some
Yeah.
truth to that. Like if a girl is going out and she's dressing nice, she's shopping for somebody else.
Mhm.
Like if she's not dressing good for you, then there's something going on there, and the
Right.
psychology behind it. That relationship in her mind is already over because women think differently. Like
But I
they
would hope you dress nicely for each other. Like I always like whenever we go
right.
out, like my girlfriend and I was like, just slacks, dress shoes, belt, and a collar dress shirt. Not that hard, not uncomfortable either. Just as comfortable as a t-shirt. Like it's not like you're going crazy.
Well, I don't like to dress nice. Actually I
Oh,
do.
right. I've seen you dapper down.
I
You're
don't
all like
dapper at
to the
all.
nines. I've seen you all with
I
the
look like a
whole like
skinny Danny
ascot,
DeVito.
the tie and the kerchief, the square, the pocket square. I've seen it.
Yeah, yeah,
You
yeah.
dress nice. You clean up nice, man. I've seen
I
you
do
do it.
clean up nice. I do, and some women out there will be lucky to have some. I think a lot of people they are just scared of any effort. It's really easy to get a quick fix. The problem is once the feelings get attached, then it becomes work, right? And when the relationship becomes work, people they're runners. There's a lot of runners out there, and so I think that there's such a waste of time when it comes to this because people are lonely. People are genuinely lonely, but they're not willing to put in the effort because society tells them that everything's a fairy tale and that
Right.
the biggest thing I can say in any relationship is interdependence and concessions that you both make because there's going to be always non-negotiable things that you're going to want to have to discuss and make concessions with, and not everything is a red flag just because you don't agree on things. But I will say, like, if a girl tells you not to post a picture of you and them and you're going on dates, that's probably a huge red flag. Yeah, it's one of those things. You start to look at it, and I've seen that in relationships, and it's always the same thing. She's already hunting or has something else going on, which happens to all of us. So there's good people out there that are just trying to find people, but then there's a lot of people who are just damaged and are too afraid to give anything a shot because they've been hurt so many times. And the first thing that they see makes them want to run. They're out the front door and they're not willing to put any effort in it. I remember like I fell in love with a girl once when I was in high school, just out of high school, college. I was in college, and I didn't find her very, I would say, physically attractive at first. But after a couple months, like she's a little tomboyish. We had a lot of fun. We hung out, and I kind of got attached. And I
It
realized
happens. It can
intelligence.
happen. Yeah.
Right, right, right. So it's funny because people don't give it any effort or any shot, and they're very selfish. It's all about what you can do for me, and it's not about us. And I've been in relationships where I was willing to make concessions just to have a relationship and say, this is it. I'm finally settling down. But at the end of the day, if somebody doesn't have that connection, if you don't have that communication, if you can't go out and go on an adventure with someone and have fun, or they're making it a lot of drama just to be around, it's just not worth it. It's just not worth it. I need somebody that makes my life easy and that helps grow with me or understands the industry that I'm in. I'm single and 47, and I will make concessions for the right woman, but just because The other thing is a lot of people don't like to talk about their past because it's bad. They don't want to be honest about it. And then you find out later they've been lying to you. And the problem with a bad past, that's a pattern of who you are, right? That's your history. History is knowledge, and people are doomed to repeat history. And when
And
people say, "Oh,
at one point, you do have to take accountability for your choices. You
right," you
can't
do
just be
have
like,
to.
I was the victim here. This one wasn't my fault. No, but it's like, yes, you still chose
You
this
allowed it to
pattern.
happen. Right, right, right,
I mean,
right.
I hate to say allowed, but clearly there's a pattern and you recognize it and still drove into you drove into the fucking iceberg.
Well, I mean, I
You didn't
think
steer
that
away from it.
there's selfish means then. If you're going to drive into the iceberg, you're trying to get something out of the relationship, and you should just realize you can't squeeze water out of a
But
rock and just get the hell out. Yeah.
psychology fucks with you, man. It is a screw job that you literally do the opposite of what you're supposed to do, and you're like, what? Stockholm syndrome? What? Like these things are real. Like some of that stuff is real, and it is. There's like an undiagnosed amount of trauma
Well, I
in
didn't
this world,
understand
and we
PTSD
try to
until
hide it. Yeah. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
yeah,
PTSD is important. So go ahead.
well, I was gonna say I didn't understand PTSD after I was involved in the Kyle Rittenhouse trial, and there was two shootings that happened right by me, and I was able to capture some of it on video, but I was near those incidents amongst other things with the city burning down and all the violence. Like I never understood PTSD until I couldn't sleep because all I could think about is how could I have conversated with Kyle Rittenhouse differently to prevent people dying, even though they weren't good people in like society standards, and there was a lot of hate going around towards those individuals. Like nobody had to die. There's people that love those individuals, and it just like it constantly would replay through my brain, and it still does sometimes when I think about the situation over and over and over again. Like what kind of conversation? Because I had the most consistent coverage of Kyle Rittenhouse. I sat in the same room with him, so PTSD is a real thing, and it might actually be like, oh, you're just being a pussy, But like, to be honest, it's a real thing. Like it's one of those things where and she's like, oh, you put yourself in a situation. Like I didn't. Like I'm there, it's happening. I didn't have much of a choice. I was blessed enough to get key footage in the trial, but at the same time, I have a family that loves me, right? Like I don't want to be intentionally in areas where people are getting shot at. It's not like, I mean, it's a urban war zone I'm going into, but it's not Afghanistan or Ukraine per se.
Right. And ask those Iraq and Afghanistan boys who kill themselves 20 plus a day. Those
Yeah.
boys are suffering. I mean, it's crazy. I don't know even if you know about like CTE and all the concussion stuff. The guys who are firing the howitzers, the guys operating them, they wear like helmets and all this stuff. They get concussions from just firing the howitzer. And it's like repetitive blows to their organs, and they like literally like do damage to their body every time the thing fires when they like trigger it. And you're like, this is normal. This is okay.
Well,
This is what we do to
drone
our boys and
operators
girls,
too.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Even watching that, uh, it is distant, but it's still. I can't imagine over time that would take a toll over time.
But
Knowing.
yes, so these are some of the things you got to deal with. And like, it's one of those things when you cover these kind of events like January 6th or the George Floyd protests, all of which I was a key reporter in. Or we could talk about the Ghulam Maxwell trial, all those things. It brings a toll on you, just your heart, your mentality, you get worn out. And it's one of those things where you got to force yourself to keep going. And a lot of times, if you're in a relationship that's hindering your prosperity as a human being, that right there should tell you that you should get out. Especially there's some people that are incredibly damaged, and they don't believe in return themselves, and you got to remove yourself and really get yourself affiliated with individuals. So that kind of comes back to our conversation with Joby Weeks, in the interview we had with him. I thought it was a pretty interesting interview. I felt like he came off fairly genuine, but I know that also he must have been a pretty damn good salesman to make millions of dollars. So it's just one of those things where you just got to ask a lot of questions. But society is weird, the world's weird, and it's sometimes I wish I could go back to just playing in a pop punk band and touring the United States and being a kid again. But my homies and Family Force 5 are getting back together, so I told them I might get the leotard back on. I actually the guys in Family Force 5 when on Vans Warped Tour, they conned me into getting in this giant heart leotard and dancing in front of like 25,000 fans at Vans Warped Tour at Tinley Park in 2007, I believe, or six. I can't remember. I think it was 2007. And I was like, dude, I'll get the guitar back on. And, Solomon, the lead singer, Soul Glow Activator, he's the lead singer of that group. And he like thumbs up my, my post. Derek Mount, Chapstick from that band has always been a good friend and one of the cooler people I've met on Vans Warped Tour. But Vans Warped Tour is a whole different lifestyle, man. It's just, I don't know, man. It's like being on a camp out every night with a bunch of band people. Some are rowdy and crazy, like the campsite next to you, and some are real quiet and just chill and having philosophical debate, and some people are just partying hard. So I guess, it depends. But, at the end of the day, like, I'm very happy with the direction and the changes I've made in my life, because at one point I actually plugged back into the 9-to-5 job, and I actually felt miserable every day of my life, just being in a multi-unit management and managing Samsung accounts at Best Buy. And I'd be doing that, and people come in and be like, "You're the guy from the Rundown Live. What happened? Do you still do the show?" And it was crazy. I had one of the key guys, regional guys from Google, one of the regional guys from Google, and all he does is checks all the retail stores within the central United States on Google stuff. And he talks to the top guys in Google. And he came up to me and he said, "You're not the guy from the Rundown Live, are you?" And I said, "Yeah." And I was like, "How is it that this exec guy from Google that does marketing for them listened to my show?" And I didn't realize we impacted so many people, because we were one of the very few first libertarian talk radio programs. We were, I started doing this time to work in 2008. And back then there wasn't a whole lot for libertarian talk radio in 2012. Even when Ron Paul was blowing up, you had a couple of people, right? You had your Tom Woods, you had Alex Jones, and maybe you had, that was it. I mean, Tony Stiles was another guy that was trying to break on the radio, and Gary Franchi started Next News Network. And all of us in the Rundown Live.
Franchi was at the Ron Paul barbecue too, wasn't he? I thought.
Yeah,
I saw
he's a
Gary
great
there.
guy. Yeah, man, dude, I love Gary Franchi. He actually he gave me some work, and I went and covered the victims of Jeffrey Epstein press conference a couple months ago, when I had a viral question when I asked Thomas Massey, why is Republican constituents not interested in signing this bill to identify the pedophiles? And now,
Tim Burchett, that piece of shit, fucking bitch. Sorry, I'm gonna call him out because my buddy Brent Freeman. Fuck that guy. Sorry, that Tim Burchett is the one. Like, seriously, we got to doggone. We got to release them bills. So I want to ask you about that because of this. The Joby Weeks thing made me think. We were at the Ron Paul. This is where we officially met. Was at the Ron Paul barbecue. There's a guy there who allegedly is in the Epstein files all over. Who's a crypto bro.
Yeah, sure.
Did you meet Brock Pierce? Have you heard?
Dude, yeah. So I've met Brock Pierce.
I don't want to allege. Everything's alleged here, guys. No, but I'd love to hear you dish on that. If I found that interesting. He founded Tether and everything. So.
Yeah, I met Brock Pierce in 2020. So in 2020, we held three major independent presidential debates. And in 2020, Brock Pierce spoke at one of the events that I was working in part of. And I got to meet him because he was really interested in running for president. But what's cool is if you look at his logo, Brock, it has 33 in it. His B is made with a 33, or what looks to be a lightning bolt.
Are you like, oh my God. Every 33.
Have you ever heard? Hold on. Have you ever heard?
Anyway,
have you ever heard of the name Barbara Pierce?
I can't say that I have. So please fill me in on that.
Okay, Barbara Pierce, Bush.
Oh yes, I know Barbara Bush.
Okay, and so Brock Pierce is of that bloodline, just like Scott Walker, the governor of Wisconsin, is Herbert Walker.
I had no idea. I had no. Oh, so he's a Bush from the CIA. Oh God. Oh, Poppy.
He's a preacher too.
Poppy's wife's right. Poppy's wife's bloodline, I guess. Right?
Well, yeah, and so other interesting things. about
You're
this topic.
frozen, by the way, again, just so you know. I don't know if you know this, but you look
I'm
frozen.
frozen. Jeez.
I don't know what's happened. I don't know if they like you or not. There you
I'm
go. Now you're back.
oh,
I must have been anyway. Go ahead.
no worries, man. I'm sorry about that.
No, that's
Frozen
cool.
time. So yeah, so I met him.
We gotta see your handsome face in real time, man. While you're talking, you gotta.
So yeah, I met Brock Pierce so in 2020, and it was more of a casual thing. I got to go on his tour bus. We had a few drinks, and I think the first time I met him was in Denver, Colorado, to be honest. And then the main debate was in Cheyenne, Wyoming, and it was at a hotel there, and they rented out the whole hotel. And what is it? Brock Pierce brought the Mayan warrior to Cheyenne, Wyoming in the middle of winter, and there was like a Burning Man type party. I have some video from that too. It was like a
Oh,
little
very
wild.
cool.
It was a little weird, you know. So I
Put
went
that
to
out.
this thing, and I guess he was a big Burning Man person. So Brock and I were talking, and I talked to him a little bit about esoteric symbolism, occult. And I didn't get it. Like again, he was like a big money guy. We were talking ideas, and I know Brock by a first name. If I saw him, he'd know who I was. He'd probably say hi. I know he's all over the Epstein files. I read this. I knew this before that there was a link there. I didn't really know what the link was other than some news stories, which Josh Segerson put me onto. And so I don't know what to expect or what is true again. It's one of those things where you hear a lot of like rumors, and he's a Burning Man style dude, so he parties. That's my guess. If you go to Burning Man, you do a lot of psychedelics. That would be my guess. I don't know for sure firsthand. All I know is Brock Pierce. I've never had a really bad interaction with him. There has never been anything that really made me go, this guy's a creepo, right? But I do see he's a businessman, and he's really involved in the crypto field. And he made all his money, I think, off of which one was it? It wasn't OMG, it was EOS,
It was
right?
Oh yeah, but he founded Tether, right?
He
That's
founded
his
Tether,
baby.
right? Correct.
Yeah. So
And
once
so,
again, like I said, I just found it so odd. I was listening to a show, and then Brock Pierce's name came up. I'm like, wait a minute. I met Brock at Ron Paul's thing, and he's a crypto guy and that thing. And then you guys were talking about that, and when Roger Ver, I'm sorry, you were talking about Ross Ulbricht, obviously in Silk Road with Joby yesterday.
well, yeah, I was talking about him getting arrested. It'd be like arresting the guy who invented the telephone because it's used for crime. So
Exactly. Yeah. I remember this software program, DVD X Copy. And
yeah.
they sued the software company. You had to get rid of it. They couldn't sell it anymore because people were making pirated copies. And you're like, it's the tool. It's like it's a hammer. It's a
Who hasn't
screwdriver.
bought burnt
whatever.
DVD from some like homeless dude on the street? There used to be a guy that in Milwaukee. In fact, cool story. So when I went before I got in,
Brock was on the Bitcoin core board too. By the way, William, man, great to catch you live. William is a great friend of ours, friend of the show. But basically, he's a crypto genius. He's a Bitcoin guy. He's like Jesus 2.0 in the crypto world. So William,
anyways, the whole Brock Pierce thing. There's some interesting ties there, and there's some interesting stories that go back that really make you go, And I already knew this, but I know with every billionaire, there's a lot of things that make you go, right? So I had opportunity.
You don't just become a billionaire.
Right.
You don't just like, hey, I'm gonna become a billionaire. Like there's gonna be broken eggs to make the omelet. I think.
You're gonna muscle some things and stuff, like you're gonna piss people off. So I've never had a bad interaction with Brock. In fact, he sat next to me at the Ron Paul meeting. He's a nice guy.
Yeah,
generally a nice guy. He's a star of Mighty Ducks, But then again, I start thinking about the cult and the Bush family.
Well, if you think about Disney and then the stuff, it even connects it more. It really does.
The Skull and Bones, the Illuminati.
Let's allegedly attack Disney and all them, not Brock directly. If anything, Brock would have just been a cog in the another.
The Britney Spears, but the male version,
right? Yeah, exactly. Oh, by the way, have you ever seen the movie Snowpiercer?
Yeah, dude. I was just talking about this with Ryder Lee. I was on a show called Raised by Giants, and we were talking about the programming where they're like, baby tastes best.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Do you notice that literally that they're telling you what the elites do?
Well, yeah, of course.
We got to take your babies and shove them in the front. You're like, That seems really odd to what's going on. What's being released now is like Ed Harris is like the head of this whole thing, you know,
Yeah,
or
it's
whatever. Is
interesting.
that the guy's name? Oh, anyway,
I'm not sure. I
I
do
forget
know that
the guy. The guy.
the movie Starpiercer or Snowpiercer was a good movie. I enjoyed it. It was very
It was. It
interesting.
was
It's
interesting.
about the
Did you
1%
see this?
rising up. Yeah, 99% multiple times, many
No,
times.
no, but this guy, Jonathan Bush, running for governor of Maine. There's another Bush running.
Oh, of course, there's another Bush. Great.
Can't we shave? Can't we trim these bushes?
Well,
Come on.
don't you
And I
know
don't
this?
not in a totally like what's that called? In a figurative way. Trim the
Well,
bushes.
he's probably Skull and Bones. Skull and Bones came from the Knights Templar fraternity. When the Knights Templar were kicked out of France, many of them, not all of them, became pirates. And Genesis 3:22. And now that he has the knowledge of good and evil, he too can become as if he's God. So it's transhumanism, and it's basically the Gnostic set of occultism. They're into hoodwinking and keeping things secret. A lot of the board members of the Smithsonian are former Skull and Bones. You want to know why there's secrets there? Well, there you have it. But if he's in the Bush family, does that mean that he has to do ritualistic sacrifice too? Do you think Jeb 8 drank the baby blood? Do you think, or just Bush Senior and Bush Junior?
I man, uh, they all. I look. Well, think about it. You just mentioned the connection. Brock Pierce, just Brock Pierce, who happens to be a billionaire, star in a Disney movie. Also, the Mighty Ducks, one of the hugest ones, right? Who's like whose bloodline is the like literal matriarch of what we know as the Bush family. Literally,
Right.
what we know as whose husband was nicknamed Poppy, not because he was a father, but because he did poppy seeds back in not like when he was a CIA director. It's like these things can't not be they can't not be correlated. They just can't not be. Like
Yeah. So
the odds seem odd. Now that's not to accuse him of anything specific, but it seems weird that these people get to be where they get. It's like I know they earned it, like I guess, but we're seeing a lot of failing upwards in some of these files too, right?
Well, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens with these arrests, amongst other things. But you know, um, there's a lot of interesting people in the Epstein files. There's a lot of interesting, excuse me, stuff. And it like really hurts my heart to go through it. I've been incredibly viral the last couple of weeks. In over 48 hours, I reached over 2.4 million people just on my Facebook. Like I'm talking about my posts. They're getting crazy viral shares. For the first time, I think ever, I'm going to get a payout from Facebook that's more than like $100 or $200. I'm like, holy cow! I'm gonna make like I can put that back into the rundown live. Like hell yeah, viral. I always meet people that are like, oh, I get paid by Facebook to post, and they think they're all cool, but they're not 2.4 million people in 48 hours cool. But at some point we'll all get there, right? I joke and I'm being funny, but at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. But the information should get out there. That's really what's important. The virality is cool and I love it. I just want to inspire other people to post so that they can get viral too by digging in the Epstein files, because really that's what it's about, is getting the knowledge out there. I like to pretend like I'm something special, but as you know, nobody knows who I am at the end of the day. I'm just an average libertarian guy who goes out there and really just cares about people and wants them to learn and plant healthy seeds in the garden of their mind so they can grow healthy ideas. And it's cool that I got 2 million views, and a lot of that was due to help and inspiration by Ryder Lee from Raised by Giants, because he's been going viral because he's been learning how to use the reels and TikTok and really make engaging videos. And so he's been really helping me learn some of these newer styles, because the algorithms have really changed over the year. The way people get content has changed. I'm old as fuck, and then I just don't know how the kids communicate anymore. So that's what I'm learning. And they're happy to, they're like looking into me. They're like, oh man, you're an OG. I can't believe I've never heard of you. And I'm like, yeah, I got, pulled from every corner of the internet in 2015, 2014 as one of the most dangerous reporters out there to get your information from, because I was working counter propaganda. I was publishing stuff, and it was all because of Ron Paul, which, as you know, is a cool thing, because I originally wanted to go to the Ron Paul 90th barbecue because my homie Kristen Megan Kelly, I was like, hey, I haven't seen you in a while. Let's go to this. And I think she's like, I am going to that. And it was Ron Paul's birthday. And then I was looking and there was like a buy-in, right? And I'm like, well, okay, well, I posted that I'm going to this. So I'm going to buy my ticket. I'll get in a little while. And I posted that I'm going. And then I got a formal invite from Ronald Paul Jr. there. And he said I could get a +1. So I ended up going as thanks as a VIP, thankfully, because of Kevin Smith, the former producer over at InfoWars. He really hooked that up. And I have to say thank you to Kevin Smith. And I think he owns
I
a
paid for
tavern.
mine, and I'm broke, and I ain't got shit for money, but I was all in.
Yeah, I don't got shit for
Yeah,
money
I
either,
did.
and people know that. You know, I'm 100% listener funded, and I don't use any of that to pay for my bills. So when I go do things like this, it's because I get a chance to be part of something cool and network and something special. And hey, I did meet somebody special. I met you there, right, Mark?
There we go. Yeah, I'm definitely. Oh, I'm
Jordan
special.
Page
My
was
girlfriend.
there.
My girlfriend would tell me I'm very special.
Well, does she tell you you're special? What? She bring you flowers
Very
too,
special.
Mark?
She just tells me I'm special, pets me.
Okay.
She works with children with communication delay, and I don't
Okay.
have the communication delay. I'm just all communication, but I don't have filter. So it's the exact opposite of what she does. But her
I
patience
know
is
I've met people without filters before, and it's interesting because a lot of times first thing on their mind comes out is what they say, but it isn't ever truly how they feel at the end of the day. It's just the emotion that inspired that thought at that moment, and you have to just look past that. Yeah, not everyone has a filter, and I used to not have a filter for the longest time. I'm kind of scared if I was unfiltered, what people would think. I used to be a class clown and pretty funny, but over the years I've taken a much more serious tone, especially when you're digging through these Epstein trials and you're reading about occult rituals and George Bush being present while people are eating feces out of babies' abdomens and intestines and orgies and abuse with women and these horrible photographs and just my heart hurts, man. My heart hurts. It's really difficult. It's really difficult to talk, and that's why I'm viral right now. Is because I've been the item I published. So the day Jeffrey Epstein died in his prison cell at 4:15 ish in the morning, there was a 4chan post. And the 4chan post alleged that Jeffrey Epstein was taken out via medical in a wheelchair into a white van that had a military guard person. And the person that checked the gate didn't write down the plate numbers like they're supposed to. And they don't let anyone out during the weekends without a alert from the judge, like a special type of release. And next thing they knew, Jeffrey Epstein was found dead in his cell. So there, I thought it was kind of BS, but I mentioned it the day it happened on the Rundown Live. So one of the first things that I searched was that 4chan post, and it was in there, and it turned out that the SDNY took it seriously, and they investigated and they identified the individual. The individual actually worked at the prison. So I published that, and then that article went incredibly viral. It got million views overnight, couple million views overnight, and then a lot of my other stuff started popping off. And since then, I've been doing nonstop interviews. You are my third interview today, and it's a lot. It takes a lot out of
What's
your
your
soul.
streak? What's your streak? I think I did 14 in 11 days. It was a rough because I have a 9 to 5 job too, so I was killing myself.
I believe the hardest time I had was at the Ghislaine Maxwell trial. I think I probably did 25 interviews in a matter of 5 days. I would
Wow.
get up so I was doing correspondence work for the BBC. I was doing correspondence work for Alex Jones Infowars. I was doing correspondence work with other networks as well, including radio stations. So some of these radio stations were in Michigan, and there it was like the morning talk radio show. It starts at 6 a.m. Well, that's like 7 a.m. in New York. So I'm in New York and I'm getting up at 7 a.m. I'm waiting in line to get into the trial while I'm on the radio talking to people. And then I'm getting off, and the first break I get, I'm calling into another program. doing a live stream for Press for Truth, or the Conscious Resistance with Derek Bros, or all these other great people. Dan Dix, was an interesting individual. Just I was constantly on a program, many programs which I don't even remember. I was on David Icke's son's show, Gareth Icke. I was on a whole bunch of programs while I was out there, and I just can't remember them all. Some of them are law shows, because mystery and crime. This is like crime, mystery, and conspiracy coming together for a giant, podcasting listening session. As you know, like crime shows are the hottest thing on podcasts. So it was like
Always.
I'm sitting there eating and getting invited.
What is the female obsession with like deep crime? I think
serial
women are more
killers,
obsessed about it than men. Yeah, men are like, okay, but women are
psychopaths. I
like
don't know.
fascinated.
They're like, I want to
Yeah,
catch.
it's interesting.
They're learning
I
how
think
to
it's they
get
want to
better.
fix them. I think they
No,
want to fix them. I
no,
think
I
it's like
think
a
that
whole maternal.
I think they want to learn how to be better at being deceitful.
Yeah, sure.
That's what it is. They want to learn the tricks on how they can get away with poisoning their husband there or whatever. I don't know. Yeah, women are obsessed with those. I don't know. Maybe see, for me, I used to love the Hardy Boys. That kind of helped. In that Nancy Drew for the girls
Yeah.
per se, and I read a ton of those books, probably like 150 before I got into the Rob McGregor Indiana Jones books, which are still my favorite. Some of my favorite books are the Rob McGregor Indiana Jones series, where he continues on the story of Indiana Jones, and he did it such a great way, painted way. Like I hope someday in the future somebody puts those in an AI movie generator and makes those Indiana Jones movies that Rob McGregor wrote as books. They're phenomenal. One of them was Noah's Ark, and one of them, like all these different things, Mayan temples.
That'd be cool.
It was all really cool stuff. He did. The books were phenomenal. I read a lot of books. I really was a big fan of Douglas Adams. I can't tell you how many times I've read Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, or Dirk Gently's Holistic Detective Agency. I love The Hobbit. I read all the Lord of the Rings books. That's kind of my bread and butter. That's what turns me on. I like to talk, elves and dwarves and all that kind of bullshit. I'm a D&D kid at heart. Speaking of which, Magic the Gathering has their big tournament in Milwaukee this weekend. I won't be in it because I don't play Magic the Gathering. But if it were D&D, I'd consider it, because Gygax Con, Gary Con happens right here.
I was a Dungeons and Dragons person. My mom had a stroke mid-December, and I flew home, and my brother just handed me this stack of old Dragon magazine.
Oh, nice.
Like the illustrations, and I just remember just flipping through them, and just like that was like our thing. We had the D&D manual, the hardback. It was like a dictionary for all the creatures, and
it's like the human sacrifice. Was it the orange cover with the human sacrifice in the pod?
Yes, the demon guy on the top with the flames.
And we're not talking predictive programming for the Epstein files either.
No, this isn't. This is.
But I love playing Dungeons and Dragons.
Kids being weird.
Well, yeah, and I played D&D for a while, and I played Middle Earth role-playing game, which, was one of my more fun eras of my life, was playing a lot of the Shadowrun, which was cyberpunk, which kind of might have led to a little bit of my interest in transhumanism. A lot of people don't know is I ran as a candidate for president for the Transhumanist Party in 2016, was it? I think 2016, maybe it's 2016 or 2020. It was one of those two. Maybe it was 2020. I can't remember. But I did it because I wanted to bring awareness to the ethics of transhumanism. And what's crazy to think is, like, all those people that are tied to Jeffrey Epstein, I can look at and I'm like, boy, these are all the people that hated me as a presidential candidate. I got the most second place votes, like
I was going to ask you about that, but I didn't want to pin you to it because it's like, it didn't seem like you were a transhumanist the way you talk. So I'm like, I mean, you could have the ideas or some thoughts, but it's not like the way that seems to be.
Well, so my thoughts behind transhumanism is I'm for a biological transhumanism. The mechanical one, I like, there's some concessions I'll make, like a pacemaker would be an example of transhumanism.
But not an integrated, like stitch in your brain with Neuralink.
Well, I would listen, the problem here is that we need good people to do it because bad people will. And if we only have bad people that have this technology, like, it's important for us to understand.
It's not a thing because there's bad people.
Well, right.
Because
So
because there's bad people, we don't allow any like the
don't allow any
where's
of
who
it. You
gets
know,
the power.
well, I
And
didn't
it's
know
not to
you.
restrict it. That's not to restrict it. No, I'm not a restrictionist. I'm a corporatist, but who would really want to adopt this shit
Well,
if it
so
wasn't somehow pushed in our agenda and told that it was good for you know what I mean? Like I think we've been slowly cultured by corporations buying the lobbyists, right? Who tell the people who write in the regulations, who keep other groups out, who allow this other thing to push their narrative, who buy the journalists, who push the mainstream media, the dinosaur media. You see how it is. It's all manufactured
I
consent.
think transhumanism in general gets a bad rap because a lot of the people that are in it are pretty, I would say kind of the idea of fear of death and narcissistic. But I think there's a lot of valuable things to and conversations to have because when it comes to transhumanism, which used to be just life extension, right? The ability to prolong your life. Like, would I like to live forever or at least choose when I die? Would it be cool to be able to read every book in the library and have all that knowledge and every day stay young? I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to those ideas because I want to live. Some people say they don't want to live forever. Now, do I think that people should be forced to do or not do? I think it should be left up to the individual if they want to put chips in their
Yeah.
brain or if they want to be like, I don't think that it should be
Oh
up to the
yeah, you
government,
should be allowed choice.
show. So why not? And I'm not saying I would do that. My intent was to bring awareness of a lot of these other technologies and ethical issues like designer babies. How long is it before we have a goth chick who's like, I want a little Baphomet baby? Or, I like Lord of the Rings and I want a little elf baby. Can I make myself a little dwarf baby? Maybe I can have a Smurf baby. Like where does it
CRISPR,
stop?
man. CRISPR's coming.
I'm telling you,
CRISPR's happened.
like
Yeah, I
that's
know.
where we're
Gene,
at.
gene
Are they
stealing.
going to design animal human hybrids? And are we going to have blueprint babies where you're going to license out your likeness? And there's going to be 300,000 Kristan T. Harrises, and boy, would they be sexy motherfuckers out there, that are clones just like me. It's just like these are real questions and concerns we need to talk about. And I thought it was really important. And I brought awareness. And they could, like Ben Zion, who won, who was claimed to be a techno optimist and a left leaning libertarian. And I call him for what he was, which was a communist. He's pushing fully automated luxury communism, and he won that. And he is really pushed by people behind the scenes that, we're in with a lot of with the crowd we're reading about now with the Epstein files. Now, I'm not against like there's Christians out there, like there's post-genderism, right? Post-genderism is demonic, like designing babies. Like the argument is if we have the ability to remove all disease from the genome of a baby, do we not have the right to do so to give a baby a fair and healthy chance if we so choose? And that's a real question. I sat with somebody who was sitting on the Council on Foreign Relations, the AKA Illuminati, and I was talking to him about it, and he's like, well, he got all offensive. He's like, I don't know, man. Like, we have the right, and we should definitely like, don't you want your children to have a better life? Don't you want healthy children that never get cancer? And yeah, there's that to be said, but like at the same time, what are we fucking up? Like what's the repercussions?
Did you hear you heard about the CRISPR twins, right? The ones in China
China,
years
yeah,
ago?
sure. That guy lost his job. No, he got it back. It sounds like, and I'm sure that's
Yeah,
not
he
the first
went
one.
to jail for a whole like year or two, and he's like, oh, he literally did something to help with HIV, and it like increased memory and intelligence or something like that. You're like, oh, right, it was about the HIV thing.
Or Jeffrey Epstein cloning himself, and that Britney Spears is a
Yeah,
clone.
you hear those stories. Well, beef jerkies alone stories are just
Or the conspiracy that Jeffrey Epstein was colluding with Bill Gates that for a kill switch, that if he was arrested or actually killed, that he would release COVID on the earth, and that's what they're planning.
ah.
And then check this out. Now, this is the nailer. Is the new conspiracy is that he wanted to inseminate life and have his DNA in every person. So Jeffrey Epstein was in the mRNA vaccine so that his DNA will be in everybody.
It's like Genghis Khan.
Yeah,
Is in one of
like
every
that's the
200
argument.
people.
Yeah, and so this
That's
source
silly,
came
man.
from Trevor Moore. Trevor Moore is the one
Oh,
that
wow.
spread that conspiracy, and he said like this hasn't been substantiated, but I've heard. And then he went and he said it, and he sounds like a great conspiracy. And he goes, "Yeah, it is a great conspiracy." And then I think it was Zach who's like, "I don't believe it," and he's like, "But I'm gonna go ahead and tell everybody it." And then Trevor Moore died, which is a sad story, terribly sad story, because he has got kids, and he was one of the few people that really made me happy in comedy. and I've had the luxury to meet in my lifetime and actually talk to and hang out with. And he's even shared well, from my old Facebook account was deleted after Ghislaine Maxwell's sister Isabel Maxwell took my photograph and I was robbed the next day. And then a week later, all my accounts on social media, YouTube, everything was deleted. So I don't know if it would still be on his page somewhere. I should probably take a look on some of the stuff of mine that the Rundown Live that he used to share. But we talked, and when he came to Milwaukee, we hung out, and he wanted to hang out a little bit longer, but the girl I was with wanted to go home. Anyways, long story short,
Usually what happens, man.
and then I hung out with Timmy
Like,
Williams.
our crazy curiosity from people like us. It's just like,
And then I hung out with Timmy Williams a few years later. He came to Milwaukee, and we went out to the bar, and I made him a burger, and he did a comedy show, and it was pretty cool. Very funny guy, baked beans. If you guys have never seen White as Kid, you know, one of my favorite shows growing up. It's it's funny. I'd call it white humor, but I don't know if that's racist. Can I say white humor or white comedy? Like, because there's black comedies, that would be a white comedy, would be the whitest, because, you know, it's like Kids in the Hall, Monty Python, just nerdy, funny, stupid, offensively funny stuff like The Grapist, which I see that you're getting ready to get graped yourself there.
What cracks me up about that is Danny Bonaducci's dad. You guys know who the palest redhead kid? His dad wrote for Good Times. So just he was a writer for Good Times. So that gives you some context about like black comedy and white comedy. It's like comedy's comedy. But yeah, I get what you're saying.
Yeah,
the white comedy, like the trailer park trash comedy, like the white comedy, like that. Like the
those are different types of white comedy, but yes, I agree.
It's true. It's true. That's another different kind. Well, look,
Trailer Park Boys, you know.
Yeah, exactly. Trailer park. Well, Kristan, you've been here an hour 15. I told you it's like a time warp. I'm here all night, but I'm respectful of your time. You told me you had a little more limited time. So
well, if you want to dive into some stuff, we can still dive in. I got a little bit of time here. I figured we'd go a little bit over because I talk a lot, you know. So I'm not talking news, and I don't have to worry about having verbal disasters on air, and you know, I'm not worried about making sure that I'm giving all the correct information. I'm talking about myself and the show and kind of what, you know, how I got where I got. So I don't get to share this part of me or this side of me with too many people, except for my close friends who know, you know, who I am. You know, they know that I toured as a musician. I grew up in a Assemblies of God, you know, church based home, went to summer camp with church, listened to MXPX as a Tooth and Nail kid. I used to love Tooth and Nail records, grew up on MXPX, Plank Eye, Saves Acre, you know, and
it's a chick magnet.
Yeah, Starflyer 59. I played with MXPX actually.
I actually have I have an MXPX picture in my foyer. My girlfriend and I went for like the 30th anniversary of Marquee Theater in Phoenix.
Nice.
And we got a poster. Yeah, we have it hanging. I'll send you a picture of it.
So I got a fun story for that. The only time I ever played with MXPX was at the Milwaukee Rave. And the first time I did a beer bong was with Tom Wisniewski of MXPX. He's like, "What? You've never done a beer bong?" And the guys from Mustard Plug were there, right? And Big D and the kids table. And it was Hidden in Plain View, Slick Shoes, MXPX, and my band, the Subdue. And I think there was one other band. It was like a giant show of like 8 bands. It was a big show. Anyways, so yeah, backstage, and then Tom's like, "What? You've never done a beer bong?" He's like, "Come on, get on your knees." He's like, "Ante up." And I'm like, "What do I do?" He's like, "Just swallow." And he just started putting a beer in there. I'm like, "Oh, no." It's like I grew up a Christian kid, so I never did a beer bong that I knew. It was the first time I ever did a beer bong. And it was cool. And then we went, and Mike, you know, he liked Jaeger at the time, and we had some Jaeger, and we hung on their tour bus. And to be honest, they're pretty nice guys. You know, Tom is a little rough on the edges sometimes. Yuri doesn't really party. Like, he's exactly what he looks like. He's the, you know, I guess from rumors are you don't want Yuri to drink because he parties too hard. That's the joke, right? So anyways, cool story. So I got to hang out with them. The next time they came into town, we got to kind of kick it with them again. And then on Van's Warped Tour, I was on Warped Tour with them, and I think we played the same stage in 2004 or 2005. It was the Ernie Ball stage, and I owned a record label called Snapdragon Records. So I got into the business things of music because when you toured, it was easier to book shows if you had a record label. And the easiest way I felt for doing marketing, because I felt I was very good at marketing. It was effortless to me to be good at marketing and get out there. I started a record label called Snapdragon Records. I put out about a dozen releases, and a lot of bands ended up on Warped Tour. One of the guys in the band, Welton, ended up being in the All American Rejects. Timothy Jordan. He unfortunately, unalived himself, which is a sad story. So I
I'm
did
just
this
gonna
record
sing "Move
label.
Along," and then you buzz killed that. Thanks, man.
Yeah, no. So, anyways, I did it as a band the first year. The second year, I did it as a vendor for my artist with Snapdragon Records, and all of a sudden, I get a phone call. Like, I get a phone call, and it's like late at night, and they're like, "Dude, we need our beer tapper back." And I'm like, "What do you mean you need your beer tapper back? What are you talking about? I don't have your beer tapper." Well, somebody from Snapdragon Records was sitting with us, and they stole our beer tapper. It turns out that the guy that stole it, he's no longer alive either. But the guy who stole it was like, he got in because he said he was with Snapdragon Records, and he was using that just to get backstage. We ended up finding out who it was, and it was like a friend of a friend of a friend type deal. And so we got the beer tapper back to MXPX, and they were happy, and all was well in Warped Tour world. Fat Mike was always an interesting guy. A little bit, he's kind of exactly like what you see. He isn't fake. He's very like punk rocky. He's like the type of guy, like if you quit drinking, he'd be like, "Well, oh, you're a quitter." He's that asshole. I'm not saying that's a good person or a bad person, but he's definitely punk rock. And so Under Oath are nice guys. A lot of those guys I got
Different kind of anarchy. There's two kinds of, there's multiple kinds of anarchy.
Good.
There's like the Sid Vicious Sex Pistols anarchy, and then there's the farmers market anarchy, guys. Just remember, there's
or fishing without a license anarchy, or
right,
rolling a stop sign when nobody's around anarchy,
right?
Or not getting married without a license anarchy. And then you got drug, sex, and rock and roll anarchy. And
there's many kinds.
Yeah, right. The guys from Family Force 5 were Christians, so I kind of I try to hang out with them because there's a lot of bad things that go on tours. And I'm not saying that Kevin Lyman didn't run a tight ship, but it's hard to police 130 bands and girls, probably underage girls, parties, strippers, drugs, alcohol. And I didn't want to find myself in a position where I get removed off Warped Tour. And there was rumors of people, I was on tour the same year My Chemical Romance was on, and some of these other bands, Paramore and Aiden and Maylene and the Sons of Disaster. So many great bands, Dropkick Murphys, Flogging Molly, Coheed and Cambria, Angels and Airwaves. I got to see Tom DeLonge, and, I actually hung out with those guys one time on their Idic tour back in the 90s. They did this tour called If You Don't Know, You Don't Go, and it's sponsored by Coke, and they played free in every city. So I saw them there, and he didn't remember me, which I didn't anticipate he would. Met him once before. Travis Barker gave me some drumsticks, and it was nice. But I got to meet them, and a lot of people that were like the non-famous bands, which later became famous. We all hung out at a barbecue afterwards, and then I kind of gravitated towards, the guys from We the Kings and, Family Force 5 and MXPX a little bit if I had the chance. I just kind of fanboyed them, so I didn't want to annoy the fuck out of them because that was like my favorite band growing up. I saw them in what I would describe
not the fanboy.
Yeah, I saw them in front of 50 people before they got big, so it's kind of like the OG. Like I saw him, it was them in a band called Goaty Hook and Value Pack and 90 Pound Wuss, which, by the way, the lead singer 90 Pound Wuss is now an anti-fascist, but I still invited him on the program to talk, as music is interesting, and a lot of them have shared that sentiment, like Five Iron Frenzy. So but I'll be seeing Five Iron Frenzy 2 coming up, so I'm excited about a lot of these concerts. The Juliana Theories coming to Milwaukee. I played with them at the Globee. So Lucky Boys Confusion is a great band. All these guys are great musicians, but it's a different part of my life I don't get to share very often, was going on the tour. And one of the people that my crew really gravitated towards was Travis McCoy of the Gym Class Heroes. I don't know if you ever heard of the Gym Class Heroes. They had that big hit.
I'm familiar with that.
That goes la da da da. Take a look at my girlfriend. Yep. She don't want to go. And he was always a very nice, decent human being. I never had a problem with him. In fact, I think me and the guy from Catch 22, and we all ran for beer in Atlanta. And it was a fun time, but like he always would wear the Snapdragon shirt on stage. Our merch girls would dress in 80s gym shorts and go cover a show. But funny Warp Tour story. In 2004, there was this punk band called Black Lung Society, and we all wanted to see them because they had a booth next to us. They were really cool. They're cool with the merch girls. And we went to the wrong stage. And at this wrong stage, there was 3 people there, and there was 2 people on stage playing. They were known as the Black Keys. The Black Keys were on Warp Tour, and everyone was like, why the fuck are these guys on Warp Tour? They're playing blues. And we kind of were digging it. We're like, damn, this is good. It was like Thick Freakness. It was like a new album, first album, and they ended up on Warp Tour, and nobody was there to see them. They weren't famous. None of their hits were there. And here I am with like 3 other people that I took here. We went to the wrong stage, and we're like, forget it. Fuck it, we'll just sit and check these guys out. And it was the Black Keys. And now I went and saw them. Actually, my ex-girlfriend, one of the nice things she did is for my birthday, she took me to see the Black Keys. They were in the Eagles ballroom. There's like 5,000 people. And I'm like, that's crazy. Like, it's just all these stories. Like, I could tell you Joan Jett's pretty cool. We parked in her spot, and she came up to the van, and she was really excited because there was other girls on Warp Tour, and I had merch girls. Because you know they were friends and fans of my band Subdue back in the day, and I knew that they could sell, and so I brought them along. And Joan Jett loved the fact that there was some other girls on Warp Tour because it's predominantly a male thing. There isn't a lot of females on Vans Warp Tour. There's not a lot of females. There's a lot more now, right? But back then there wasn't. Like, you had the Luna Chicks, you had Agent M. You had a couple of these other bands, Bikini Kill, maybe a couple ska bands like Save Ferris, No Doubt. They had females in them, but other than that, it's far and few between. So she was really excited, and she hung out with them for a little while. And like, just stand-up person is just kind of cool, just people you get to meet and talk to. And the girls were thrilled, and I was just really happy that they got to meet somebody that was like their idol. And she hung out a lot with like Fat Mike, and I think they party. That's the lifestyle. So that life was a very interesting part of my life, doing music, helping bands get on Vans Warp Tour, getting bands on MTV when that was a thing. And MTV probably owes me a couple, like $10,000 or $15,000 in music licensing that they pay, that they owe me for back pay for using my music in TV shows like The Real World and stuff like that. I'm never going to see any of that because MTV isn't around anymore. But I think the guy that hooked me up with that was the guy from Yellow Card, Benjamin. He was one of the original guitarists from Yellow Card. I think he was the main person.
Ocean Avenue?
Yeah, Ocean Avenue, all that stuff. So he was also the marijuana dealer of Warp Tour. Like, the guy had more marijuana on the tour bus than I've ever seen in my life. So I guess I can tell these stories now because they're so long ago, right? But
yeah, we got statute of limitations going on as long as you didn't.
but Warp Tour is is an interesting experience because it's not a lot of fun, and you don't realize you're enjoying it until it's like years later. Like, imagine.
Yeah, you reflect on it. It feels like it's a lot of work. It's a grind.
It is a grind, man. Like, because we would have. Like, they'd have crazy scheduled rides. And this gets into how I got into radio. This is a cool story. So like, the rides were insane. So the first day wasn't bad usually because we normally hop in on Milwaukee. If Milwaukee is one of the first month dates, that's when we'd start. We wouldn't go start wherever Warped Tour start because sometimes it'd be New York or Seattle. And it's like, I'm in the Midwest. Not going to drive a van all the way out there just to do those dates. Like, the first night was Minnesota, which isn't bad. And Warped Tour is strict. You have to be there at 7 a.m. if you want a good spot and you want to sell merch, right? And if you have a bad spot, that would suck because you're there trying to make money because you have to pay for a merch tent, right? You got to pay to have your product out there and sell the albums. And I'd have girls walk around with CD players and headphones, and they'd sell the CDs. And really, that would just keep it afloat, right? We weren't really making money, but the next night was we had to be in Kansas City. It was a 13-hour drive. The event ends at 8 p.m. So how the hell are you going to get there at 7 a.m. if you're closing out the event from the night before, right? So then somebody has to stay up all night to drive the whole night through, right? And then you can't party. You can't hang out with people at the barbecue because they're on tour buses. They got other people riding on. Somebody's already with their merch, And is they on their way to the other place, or they've separated their merch crew? They got 2 tents, one here, one there, things you don't think about if you're not on the tour all the time, right? And so they have another crew that's already heading to Kansas City to set up the tent. And here you are, you're there till 8 o'clock. And it's like, shoot, I got to drive all the way through the night. So we're driving, and Eddie Springman, who plays in a band called Satiri, used to, he went on tour with the Federal Rescues, a merch guy and stuff like that. He was with me as well. And we were driving, and I'm like, bro, I am so tired and I can't sleep. We got to get there. We've paid to have these spots. I can't miss it. And the girls are all sleeping. They're passed out just on a van, just, doing that thing. And I turn on the radio, and it's like fucking George Norrie. Norrie's in there. He's like, and today we are talking about teleportation and the moon base, or the Mars base. And he's talking about, I think he was talking to Basiago, or he's talking to somebody where they're talking about Operation High Jump, or something about teleportation and how people are teleporting to Mars. And then he has like this credible CIA background. And I'm like, what the fuck just happened? Did I just get brain fucked? And then my Eddie's talking to me. He's like, well, have you ever heard of the Nazi moon base conspiracy? And then every night since then, we would drive and we'd listen to Coast AM, because it was on from 11 p.m. till like roughly 4 in the morning. And it kept us awake. It kept us going. They'd be talking giant human skeletons.
Because you're thinking about it. It's like firing the neurons. Like it's firing your imagination. So it's keeping you awake, I guess.
Right. So here we are. We're doing this tour. And I'm listening to George Norrie and some replays with Art Bell, and some guy's talking about this hole in his backyard. And he said it's the never ending hole. I put a roll, like we've done 3 miles of rope that go down this hole, and it just keeps going down, down, down. And so we just started throwing all our trash in it, and it just never hits the bottom, doesn't make an echo. It's really weird. And so all of a sudden he joins on a week later to talk about it again. And he's like, yeah, my dog fell down the hole. But what's weird is it reappeared, and it reappeared years later, reappeared, and they found them, but it didn't remember them. It was acting differently. And he told this story, and the military came and bought up the property for $1 million. And Art Bell went and verified and validated there's military on there. And it was like some weird, Stargate type story where it's a hole that never ends and things disappear in it, and then they come back. It's almost like Pet Cemetery. I'm like, what the hell is this? And I'm listening to the story, and I'm like, this is crazy. Then there was one about time travel with Stephen Gibbs and the hyperdimensional resonator, and you put this mechanical thing on your head, and it's got wire coils, and it'll help you astral project. And I'm like, what the hell am I listening to? It's just, what if any of this stuff was true? Maybe what if there was 250 UFO, different aliens, and all this other shit people are talking about? I don't know. Right now, that's the new whitewash. That's the new washboard. We're going to get everyone off the Epstein files by giving them UFO files to dig in, because everybody's an investigator right now, it seems. So,
yeah. Well, on that, I'd like to share this quick little thing that I pulled up. This is pretty old, but you mentioned Luke Rakowski. Obviously, he's been at Freedom Fest and stuff. He pulled this one up as well. I didn't know that, but he played this earlier. But I'm just going to play it here. Love to get your thoughts, because it's kind of parallel what we're talking about and everything. Okay, I'll play this for you.
The president has asked me to come out and make a brief statement about the wire that just went out a couple minutes ago. To make things short, I will just confirm that yes, we do have a moon base, and yes, we are currently experiencing some bear problems. Now, I will open it up if there are any questions.
Mr. Press Secretary! Mr. Press Secretary! Mr. Press Secretary!
New York Times.
Yes. I have a 11-part question.
I'm sorry, I only have time for 2.
All right, let me get this straight. So the United States government is admitting that we do have a moon base, and that there is a bear problem on said moon base.
Yes, that is correct.
All right, follow-up question. Are you us?
That's a really good question.
No, we are not, and I would like to remind everyone to keep the language civilized. This is the White House.
Excuse me, Mr. Secretary, Bob Daniels, Newsweek.
Mr. Daniels.
How long have we had the moon base? And are these bears Earth bears, or are they from the moon?
I'm sorry, I'm not at liberty to disclose how long we have had this moon base at this time. We do believe these to be Earth bears. We have no reason to believe these to be lunar bears or even Saturn bears.
Todd Albright, PBS. There's Saturn bears?
I am also not at liberty to go into the various types of woodland life forms on Saturn or any of the other 12 planets.
9 planets.
Right. I've said too much already. What I can show you is the images that have been beamed down to us from the Odyssey satellite system just a couple hours ago. This is the view out of the front door of the United States Secret Moon Base. This was taken yesterday before we discovered the bear problem. And this one was taken just a couple hours ago. So, as you can see, bears everywhere.
Mr. President,
Mr. Jackson.
Yeah, those bears appear to have guns and motorcycles.
We believe they may be involved in some sort of intergalactic drug cartel, perhaps affiliated with one of the interstellar wizard alliances.
Wizard alliances?
Yes, next question.
Just a thought, more of a shot in the dark, but we wouldn't happen to be invading Iran today, would we?
You got me. You got
I fell for it. You almost got away with that one.
me. No, I went too far. I almost had it. I should have stopped after the slides. I knew I should have stopped
didn't think
there.
anything about it until the cartel thing, and I was like, what?
Just a little levity, man. This is like years ago, allegedly.
That's
and
my
it's like-
boys, making me happy.
that's great, man. That's hilarious.
You know, that's interesting. My life has been pretty weird, and it's gone through a lot of different rabbit holes, but I've always pursued my passions and my heart, and it's kind of led me down a little bit of a lonely road at times, but I really am happy with the accomplishments, you know, just everything, like just the way it's gone, because, you know, that whole lifestyle, you know, the entertainment lifestyle kind of ended in about 2009, and that's when it kind of just transitioned into the podcaster radio program, the Rundown Live, and everything that I'm doing here. And you know, it's interesting. I would have never met so many cool people, and really humbled by the lessons I've learned. The G. Edward Griffin, you know, I've met him. I got invited to his home, and I went to his home in Cambria and had wine with him. He's a great guy. We talked about all these different topics. We talked about etymology and programming and the magic behind words, and how, you know, symbols, when you put them together, it's called spelling. We don't call it wording. When you put those symbols together to have meaning, we call it to spell. What does it mean to cast spell? And if you stitch them together like a curse, we call it cursive. What is a curse, and why is the term ritual right in the word right? Because writing is a ritual. And when you can dive in the term of grammar, that's where glamour comes from. And you can dive into all these different etymological advancements. Even the capital A. Every time you look at a capital A, that's a pyramid and all-seeing eye. Every day, the symbolism, and we're bombarded by it. And that's kind of one of the things that me and J. Edward Griffin were really diving into. And Manly P. Hall's book, How to Understand Your Bible and the Numerology, is a really great time. And I wasn't the only one there. There's other people that went with me, and it was nice of him to invite me. But I would have never met him, or met like Jordan Maxwell, or you, Ron Paul. How cool is that to meet Ron Paul? Like, I feel so blessed.
It was star-studded too. I mean, like, I don't know if anyone knows, Glenn Jacobs is the mayor of Knox County, Tennessee. He's also known as the Big Red Machine. If you ever watched wrestling for like 20 years, you know what I mean? It's pretty freaking cool.
Yeah, and there was a lot of interesting people there. I know Jason Bassler from the Free Thought Project was there.
Jason Rink was there, and he has connections, right, to Alex Jones. He picked up Kanye and Nick Fuentes from the airport,
dude.
Before
you know
that 3-hour conversation.
Oh man, dude, I have a whole thought on Nick Fuentes, and I don't know. My opinion is, like, society, the pendulum, like, has really changed in the social society, you know, and the social engineering has really been a pendulum going from wokeness now to extreme, where it's cool to hate and freedom of speech, and it's still like nothing. There's still nothing gentlemanly about it, right? Canceling or extreme freedom of speech. And I think right now we're living in an era where it's cool to hate, right? It's cool. Oh, Charlie Kirk died. Oh, great. It's cool to hate. Oh, Renee Good was shot. Alex Pretty was shot. Oh, good. They had it coming. It's awful but lawful. Hey, it was pretty good, right? Look at that MK Ultra trick there I pulled.
Yeah, right.
It's interesting because everything is hate based, and Nick Fuentes is a person that gets attention based on selling a lot of these. Like, listen, Nick has a lot of genuine issues. Like, I agree with the World War II stuff. There's a lot of questions. Do we know how many people died? Are we required to believe that 6 million Jews were murdered, or 600,000 or 400,000? At the end of the day, evil did bad things and people were
And now you're
hurt.
going to make me yell at you so I don't get a strike. But how dare you? How dare you oppose that number? It was 6 million. If
Well,
it
20
was
million,
one,
right? That's
no,
like when I learned
I can't do that. I can't. It has to be 6 million because YouTube will get me, man. So
yeah,
just so you
yeah, I
know.
know that when I went
Anyway,
to
you know how that is.
elementary
I literally
school.
just got off. I just got out of baby got put in a corner till literally the 17th. Don't blame me. Get back in on the 20th. All right. I don't need a 3-day break of not being. Dude, that place just hates me so much.
Oh man, I know.
Anyway, yeah, 6 million people. Yeah.
Yeah, well, 600,000 is what we
But
grew
yes.
up learning.
But even that is like the Rink Kanye one was when Kanye was going nutso and big, and Nick Fuentes really wasn't yet the force that he clearly has been on his return.
Well, the thing
right?
is I think it's all marketing and strategy, right? Hate sells. Like normal peace and normal civil conversations don't really push the box anymore. What pushes the box is extremism. And so on the left, you got extremism, and on the right. And so Nick Fuentes knows this, and he's intentionally extreme, maybe even saying things he doesn't believe, but his
Provocative.
his viewers and listeners, though, they might believe it, and they might believe Nick believes it, but Nick is just a smart strategist who's just really knows how to get attention. Christopher Cantwell, it's like saying Christopher Cantwell was ahead of his time, right? A white nationalist, like that's right up there. That's what Nick Fuentes is. He's the new Christopher Cantwell at the end of the day. Is he not? I mean,
humans are in the midwit and lower level they're just trainable dogs. I mean, you can just get them into group mentality and group thing. It's so easy because they're the capacity to be curious and to think outside or to think differently. I don't think it's existent. I don't mean that in any way. It's just like people are born with blonde hair or brown. Like I miss social cues. There are certain things that I don't get right. Some people don't get intellectual cues. And I think this is where we have a variance, and it makes it really tricky because we all say we're the same, but we're really 7 or 8 billion individual beings clumped together in this earth. You know what I mean? Like,
well, right. So the thing is, the problem I have with wokeness is the cancellation. The problem I have with the extreme freedom of speech, I can support your freedom of speech regardless of what you say. The problem is there's a lot of people that believe what you say, and at some point it's going to become divisive in ways that I feel that are not good for society. There's a healthy amount of skepticism. Like the fact that I can say Goyam and not get banned on 50,000 stations right now because everyone is using that term blows my fucking mind. If I read
don't make me start a boycott on you. I'll boycott you right away.
A boycott,
yeah, I came up with that term.
It's not like I'm reading the Protocols of Zion or the Elders Protocols of Zion, which says the term Goyim. It's interesting. That book obviously has been proven to be fake, but it's sure like Nostradamus fucking wrote it. So like, it's just so weird, man. The whole society, the way we have worked, all these secret societies, the way they work. Jordan Maxwell's another interesting person I got to meet. I had dinner with. He was Russell Pine. He got Manly P. Hall's. He got Manly P. Hall's documents, like 150 handwritten books by Manly P. Hall in his will, and was a protege of Manly P. Hall. Russell Pine was his real name, and I learned a lot from him as well. And there's all these crazy cool people. You know who I haven't met? Alex Jones.
What do you mean? You just met Alex Jones tonight. Tonight, Alex Jones is hanging out with you right now, Kristan. Don't tell me another one of those lies. What are you talking about? Space crazy aliens?
I don't know if that was Ted Gunderson or Tex Mars or
Never know which one it is.
No. But like the world has brought me on so many adventures. So I'm traveling all over the place.
Cool, man. I'm liking this. Yeah.
And I really want to, like, there's places I want to go. I think this year I'm going to go for the first time out of the nation. So I'm planning on hitting up Machu Picchu. And then I'm planning on hitting up Cairo, Egypt with Johnny Enoch. So Johnny Enoch, do you
Oh,
know
that'd be
Johnny? Do
great.
you know who Johnny Enoch
I know
is?
the name. I know the name.
Johnny Enoch is one of those former Gaia people who was poisoned by Knights Templar in a weird like ball Moloch ritual by some very prominent Knights Templars that are on TV, and we're not going to name any names, but that's his claim. And ever since then, he's been a believer of Jesus Christ because there's a weird cult that does poisoning styles, like rituals to individuals and secret societies. And so obviously if the bad guy's real, maybe the good guy's real. I don't know. But like
well, there is good and evil. That's a truism.
right. There
But that
is.
doesn't necessarily mean that there's a head good guy and a head bad. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't mean it needs to be personified the way that we have. And I think
No.
actually that's the wrong part. Because you and I haven't really ever talked. But I had an NDE at 13, out of body experience. I think I had a soul switch. I'm actually a star seed, crystal indica warrior, all that shit. And I am a lucid motherfucker. That is what I am not. I did not come from that. That shit was forced upon me. My first precognitive vision was the shooting of Clement to Pinckney by Dylan Roof in South Carolina. It fucked me up. And ever since then, I get floodgates. I get vibes, I get precognitive stuff. It's nuts. It's really
well, out of body experiences have been happening like for a long time. Musicians used to report it where they could watch themselves doing it. The problem is if you leave your container, something else can come in, and hence the
and that's
worries
what I
of
think
demon
happened. I had to
possession.
switch. Yeah.
You know, so you have this issue with demon possession because
But not demon, man. Leave my Syrian brothers.
well,
and
more
sisters
than
alone.
what I'm trying to say is more than one entity can reside in a body at one
Correct.
time. And if you
That is
leave
correct.
that,
You have a braided soul.
if you leave that container, and I learned that from Stephen Gibbs, the time traveler, because when you do astral protection, you come back, there might be a demon there. So you got to have that quality, 100% organic halite hanging around, and mix yourself a concoction that gets rid of those demons. Hyperdimensional resonator.
Stuff.
There you go.
Yeah,
Hyperdimensional resonator.
It's
But it's interesting when you talk about that whole narrative, the Indigo children. I know Indigo, and he's a very prominent astronomer. In fact, he's one of the top astronomers in the world. And he had an experience that was missing time, and it was involved like being loaded on a bus, missing time, coming back, and they found like a chip in his nose, like a metal chip in his nose. And so he believes like in interdimensional beings, but also the UFO phenomenon, which we know in X-Files, they always talk about that. It's funny how Chris Carter was very well researched. It's like George Lucas, very well researched in their programming and their stories and plot lines. And it's almost prophetic because they have an idea of what's going on, or they see what's going on, or they're hanging out talking to other people to know what's going on, and they make it and they put it in their movies. That's very clever. At the end of the day, I really enjoyed a lot of those shows, but
hidden in plain sight. It's pretty amazing what they do.
Yeah, hidden in plain sight. That's exactly what the Epstein files are, right? Now you're supposed to accept that they are eating the babies and baby tastes best, and we're gonna get some beef jerky, and of course there's cheese pizza, cream cheese, walnuts, pasta, anything you want. They got it on the menu, and everyone keeps talking about this frizzle drip. Have you ever heard of this?
No.
I don't know. I don't want to get into it because I don't want to get you banned. But essentially,
just say allegedly before now.
Allegedly.
Okay, allegedly, Kristan's going to talk about frizzle drip
or frazzle drip. It's something weird. Somebody was telling me about it.
Frizzle frazzle.
Yeah,
allegedly. Rock.
So it's dark.
Anyway, okay.
Dark web audio allegedly of Podesta beating someone and Hillary Clinton like ripping off
the one. Call me father. You will call me father.
Yeah. So there's all these I
heard a voice
videos.
recognition thing against that. Yeah, we're like, you will call me father. You will call me father. And like there's like spanking or the and the
whipping,
child is crying.
Punishing.
It is. Oh yeah.
Well, there was allegedly one of of a Hillary Clinton peeling off a young girl's face. That was also in that. So there's all these like alleged like
Allegedly, of
dark
course.
web like is it AI though? Like everything
Yeah,
AI?
see,
Like
that's the thing nowadays. I don't
the
believe.
UFO invasion is going to be AI. Like they're moving forward with Project Bluebeam. Do you think Barack Obama got together with Donald Trump and he called him up? And he's like, really, the ape video? He's like, I'm really
Let
sorry.
me
He
be
goes,
clear.
let me tell you this. I'm going to drop some UFO info. We can bring people
I'll
together
say
by
there's
you.
aliens.
Yeah, there's aliens, and all of a sudden Donald Trump was like, I can't put Obama in jail, so we're gonna just have to release all the UFO files. Like that was a fucking staged. You don't think that they were hanging out playing, grab ass in the back room and going like, how can we bring people together and bring people off of all those hot dogs I bought while I was in DC? Like it's just like
Oh,
I don't
it's
know,
definitely
man.
look, the war and this UAP, what a UFO stuff is all deflection from Epstein. There's no joke. We own firearms in this country. This place, if we saw what allegedly like a Bill Gates would have done to a child or something, like we saw that.
Or what Trump may have
And
done to somebody,
yeah, good,
what
right. And once again, you froze
Sasha
again, just so you know.
Reed or whatever his name was. Sasha Riley, that's what it was.
Right. So just so you know, you froze again. Just I don't know what's happening.
Did you hear the Sasha Riley?
No, who's Sasha Riley? I don't know that.
So there's this whistleblower that came forth claiming that Trump raped them. And then when he wanted to get reciprocal, he took a wooden stake and kicked it into Trump's ass, allegedly, at an Epstein Island. And this is a whistleblower who's been around. I played the video of him talking about it. And I was like, oh, I don't know. That seems a little weird to me. But then there's all these Epstein like emails about Trump shitting himself. So I don't know. It's
well, you hear Bohemian Grove, and then you hear about like the ritual that they had at CERN.
Oh,
dude, they just don't even talk about it.
I heard
where they had like
thing.
Alleged sacrifice, right? And you're like, what the hell is going on? They're all wearing robes and whatever. Anyway, go ahead.
So I heard this crazy rumor that's going around, and I wonder if it's true. It's that Charlie Kirk was at Bohemian Grove, that he went with a couple other people, and it's provable. So I haven't really dug into it, but somebody I trust told me that. And I think it was also with maybe the guy from Project Veritas. I don't know. There was like 3 prominent conservatives.
Oh, that's O'Keefe, right? Is that James O'Keefe? Yeah, that would make a lot of sense, by the way. Just
the rumor was like him and like
there's like counter people to every like narrative. You know what I mean? Like it's hard to tell who's on what side. If it's like a triple, quadruple,
there's
spot,
no 3D there's no 3D chess for just really dumb people.
We're all dumb fucks. Yeah, totally.
At the end of the day, I like Marjorie Taylor Greene is like, there is no 5 or 4D chess. And she's right. People are so dumb.
She's right in that case, right?
Well, she's right. Donald Trump can release UFO docs, and we're like, what just happened? Or ape video of Barack Obama, or like, what just happened? We got attention spans of nanoseconds, like the guys from the Milwaukee Beers said.
Carl Sagan. That's what Carl Sagan said. Remember his clip about like we're going to shorten to 30 seconds or less. And it literally we're in the 10-second clip market. Like you said, doom scroll. That's what it is, man.
That's what it is. It's just watching
society, man. Well, look, man, we're 2 hours in. I'm having a great talk. We can keep going, but like I said, I'm respectful of your time. I mean, it's a Friday night. You're a single guy. You might be putting on some aftershave and going out and.
Well, let's. Is there any questions in the chat or any comments we can get to? And
there was one. Yeah. There's a good one here. Let's do just this one. Let's leave it on this. Kristan, what's our future as a society next 5 years? This is from William. William's one of these brilliant guys. But what's your kind of worldview for the next 5 years? What do you see?
I see tribulation. I see large rates of cancer spiking, just not only in elderly but youth, because of the I think as a result of the jab. I see
the thing and the hump.
I see a culling and a fake trial and arrests of elite individuals in which the Rothschilds and the other real occultists want to get rid of, because all these people who have been sloppy that have got caught that are in the Epstein files, there's going to be a demand for them to arrest people. So they're going to start arresting all the bottom feeders that did dumb shit that jeopardized their whole ball child sacrificing and eating of babies world. So all of a sudden, the United Nations wants to do crimes against humanity. You know what the United Nations is? It's an Adam Weishaupt wet dream utopianism. It all comes out of the Bavarian Illuminati lodges. You know who funded the Bavarian Illuminati? The Rothschilds. You know who funded the Rockefellers? It was Jacob Schiff and the Rothschilds.
You had a really good relationship with Jeffrey Epstein?
David Rockefeller. Rothschilds,
the Rothschild
right.
lady, yeah,
who admitted in their email that they, helped plan and benefited from Adolf Hitler, including the Epstein family. So all of this, basically what you're saying is the Illuminati committed world crimes, and it's going to investigate itself. That reminds me of cops investigating themselves. Whoever they arrest, it's whoever they want to get rid of on the totem pole to consolidate power, because this is a great chance for them to get rid of their political wealth enemies. There is a power struggle, and they're going to be bumping heads, and they're going there's going to be distractions. There's going to be Iran. Maybe we'll go into Iran. Who knows what happens there? Maybe we go and we buy Greenland. Maybe go into Venezuela, maybe Mexico, and we have that North American Union we've always talked about. And as long as Donald Trump leads us into a new world order, Christians won't care. Like this is the world I see. And I think Christians are going to be complacent because the Bible is really being used as a roadmap by the elite to make them complacent, because that's what they expect. It's God ordained, and it's God will, and it's prophesied. So therefore we must allow it to happen. And we should all be speaking German if that's true. So at the end of the day, there's a lot that's wrong in our society. And I think I see robots and automation. I see tens of thousands of robots getting into people's homes, doing our laundry. I'm seeing synthetic biology and very human-like robots coming close to that market in that time. And I think in 10 years, you're going to be able to have Pamela Anderson as a housemaid, and you're never going to have to worry about dating again, because she's going to do everything and anything, including killing you. So, that's
not
all
barbed
there.
wire Pam Anderson, right? I don't want barbed wire Pam Anderson.
Barbed wire Pam Anderson.
I want Baywatch. I want Baywatch Pam Anderson. I don't want barbed wire Pam Anderson. Just
right.
No.
Yeah. Not
if we're gonna do this,
not naked gun.
If we're gonna do this
Anderson
thing, let's do it right. All right, let's go. No.
Yeah, not Naked Gun Pam Anderson, which she did a great job in Naked Gun. I enjoyed that movie.
Oh yeah.
It's a good movie. Sure. Good movie. That being said, I could see. I think crypto is going to crash when it comes. A couple of things in the Epstein files that is really crazy is that the whole QAnon forum came out of Jeffrey Epstein's basically politically incorrect forum. So it was basically the whole QAnon was Jeffrey Epstein, and essentially leaking or dripping information to normalize it, so that if we ever reported on anything like it, no one would believe it, because last time it led to an insurrection at the Capitol. That was the whole thing. And what's weird is Trump's people were wearing the Q dress, right? It wasn't Ivanka was wearing a Q on her dress, right? So who's to say Jeffrey Epstein didn't collude with Donald Trump to push that whole movement, and they ran the whole extortion thing and hoax together. And at some point there's a falling apart, or Jeffrey Epstein didn't do something right, and then he got taken out in the middle of the night on a van and is sipping on margaritas with Osama bin Laden somewhere. I don't know. We'll find out. But at the end of the day, some sympathy for Donald Trump, because he was the first person to really call it in. Also, he is completely unredacted from almost all the emails, meaning you can see him. He isn't afraid for you to see. So there's some credibility there. And the fact that they were released under his presidency is all very interesting and transparent. And I can understand somewhat. I don't think it's a hoax, but I think that there's a lot in there that's interesting, and maybe some untruthful things about everybody's in there. But at the same time, we have to look at it with a microscope, not to burn little girls like Jeffrey Epstein, but to really find out what's going on in these Epstein files. And I don't think it's going to go away. Only 2% of all documents have been released size-wise. They've released
98% have not.
Yeah,
and
correct.
There's a gap between 99 and 2001. Which has implications to 9/11. It's interesting.
The shadow commission for 9/11's in there. Everything. It's weird. We're learning that.
The email. I want Ghislaine Maxwell was invited to be part of it, but you can't talk about who else. Whoa, okay.
Well, the Zodiac Club, all that. These MJ, which is basically MJ12 from what I'm reading. We'll see, but. That being said, if you guys want to find out more of therundownlive.com, I'm on Spotify, The Rundown Live, rumble.com/The Rundown Live. We had our YouTube channel taken down with millions of views. but we're back on YouTube. Hopefully we don't get banned like you for saying goyim and goy boy and all those other cool slangs that I couldn't
Thanks
say
a lot,
years
yeah.
ago because just reading a book and being like, what the hell is a goyim, and then you just find out it's a slur for everyone else that Epstein used and everybody else used. In fact, they were doing DNA tests that she was saying, one of the ladies who's talking to was like, I need a DNA test to make sure they're 98% Jew because Jews are just smarter, and it's like, oh, okay, that's like, imagine if I said that I need a test to make sure he's 98% white because white people are just smarter. Boy, people would probably make a big deal about that, all the racist shit that's in there. Like there's definitely some Luciferian satanic shit going on in the world. And I think that there's a lot of people who identify or claim to be Jews that aren't Jews, and they believe in, eating babies and sacrifice and making money, like the Rothschilds. So, the Rockefellers and all the other bloodlines of the Illuminati, which is also in the Epstein files. He had a whole document on the bloodlines of the Illuminati. In his Steve Bannon interview, he said, oh, the Trilateral Commission, some people were a little spooked by it. It's called the Illuminati, so like, I don't know what to believe. We're questioning the fabric of what reality is. We live in a completely different metaverse. Imagine being one of those girls who are harvested from the day of birth to just please rich, filthy old men like Virginia Guffrey. It's sad, but it is what it is. But that being said, check me out, the Rundown Live, and I'm on groundzeroplus.com. That's home to Clyde Lewis. My show airs from noon to 2 weekdays, Monday through Friday, and we'll have to have you on, Mark. We can have you talk about who you are, and so I can learn out a little bit more about you, not just talk about meeting Ron Paul the whole time and hanging out with Jordan Page and Jack Hunter and Justin Amash and Christina Tobin and all those cool Krista Megan Kelly. I wrote on.
It's great. Look, there was Dave, and it's not guys but Dave Smith, Total Twin, Clint Boyer.
Yeah,
Connor Boyer, right? Connor Boyer, I think, right?
Luke Rudowski,
Total Twins. Luke Rudkowski, Clint Russell was there. From Josie the Redhead Libertarian was there. Papa.
I thought Josie Wales when you said that. Remember Josie Wales?
The outlaw, the outlaw. Josie Wales. But we had who's the guy? Who's the dad? The Dad Saves America guy, John Pappas, whatever. He was there. You had Dan McKnight of Defend the Guard. There's so many brilliant people. Man.
Interesting individuals. Great conversation. It was a fun night, and we all kind of just hung out. And I hung out with Harrison Smith from the War Room, who's growing over there at InfoWars. So it's been a really interesting experience. And when we rolled in, it was Kristen, Megan Kelly, Luke Rudowski, me, and then her dude. It was a good time, man. It was a lot of fun, and I really enjoyed my experience there. And the networking experience has been very fruitful for me. I always try to be genuine and honest, the best person I can be. And I never try to do people wrong or hurt people or even take their money or do anything. I always try to live up to my words. Words have meaning, right? And some people
that's the thing is like be yourself. Everyone else is taken, man. I mean, come on. What are you going to
do? The best of the leftovers, the cleanest, dirtiest shirt. All right, brother. Well, I'm out of here. The rundownlive.com, the rundownlive.com. I'm on Strange Planet with Richard Syrett. And rumor is I'm going to be on Coast to Coast AM in a couple of weeks. So wish me luck there. That'd be pretty cool. It'll be my first time. Cool. That's a bucket list. Other than hosting InfoWars, that's one of my bucket lists.
Congratulations.
Well, we'll see. It hasn't happened yet. They asked me once before.
Well, that's the thing. I know Howard Bloom's does Coast to Coast. He does some specials on there. I've had a handful of conversations. I'll try to connect.
Oh, that'd be amazing.
Howard Bloom's awesome too. So stick around. I've got an outro, but we'll just stick on the other side real quick.
Sure. I'm here. I'm not in no rush.
Kristan T. Harris joined us on Not Conscious, everyone. Thank you so much. William, Zach, Derek is back. We've got who else is in the chat there as well, who jumped on at the end there. Grumpy Gnome is in there. All these people are awesome people. There are people. Look, I hope you're at Freedom Fest, because if you are, we've got a bunch of people going, and we'll get you
is going on. Isn't that going on right now? Is that Jeff
I think that might be. Yes, it might actually be. So an Acapulco, that's a cool thing. So
I can't even say that.
Everyone else, thanks so much, guys. Have a great night. We'll see you guys at the end.